What's going on? I did not connect it here. Need to do here. What's up, everybody? Am I live? I think I should be. Should be live. But I can upload the. Just got to update the thumbnail image. Stream. What's up, everybody? Turn this down a little bit. We got another Wednesday live show here. Actually, I haven't set up my live. I'm still sort of getting set up here. I don't know. I should have all this set up before, but it's all right. There we go. Plug in the mic. We got our Deity D4 Mini. We got a new mic coming soon, so that's exciting. Make sure the audio is set up here. This mic, we'll try and get it as close as we can. Audio, default, yep, and then AirPod speakers. Let's see. We do have the sun, but it's going to go down in a minute or two. Let's open up some tabs here, as we do here. got Aaron from Slab Stocks, one of my good buddies, coming on. Actually, this mic's going to have to go. Coming on 7:30 is when he said he's going to join, so that's we can expect him. Nope, we got to close this. Oh, do you have to... Oh. Let's share screen. Cut that music. All right, where do we... Let me just pop over here, make sure we are all good. I'm so pissed off about this stupid Dogecoin thing. Like, I'm not pissed off. Yeah, I am. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. It's just like what are we doing? You know, it's like that type of stuff. I don't actually. I could just open this up in an incognito tab. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe that would be easier. Then I don't have to worry about switching the mics. AirPods. We got this tab. We will move this over here to the side. We got the questions that will be up here. We'll just make that smaller for now. Close these tabs so we can get everything going. Actually, shoot, there's one other thing I got to do. Overlay. I got to finish the overlay here. Yeah, here we go. There goes the sun. It's going down a little bit. Right, I also have to check the YouTube. How's it sounding? It would go to youtube.com. Click into the tab here. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. We're testing in to see how the audio is sounding. Right now, it's probably a little bit... not the best, but it's okay. Okay, so did I export these things? No, I don't think it did. So we'll export. Where is this? We're going to pop this back on just so that way people... All right, so we should be good here. Close that up. Come back in here, go to banners, branding. We have to erase these couple things. We're going to add. Add these in. Let me just make sure these are still good. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Let's see if they kept the tweet. That's kind of maybe, I feel like they probably didn't. Yeah, they definitely didn't. I wonder if anyone has a screenshot that I could find. Okay, well, whatever. So we'll get into it here. Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. My name is Adam. I am your host. Today we're going to be talking about some of the issues that Beckett had this past weekend with What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. My name is Adam. I'm your host. In today's video, we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the issues Beckett had this weekend with one of their announcements and then their unannouncement of the announcement. So let's get right into the video. Thank you all for clicking on this video. Like I said, my name is Adam from Heroes for Sale. I'm interested to hear your thoughts about this topic. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you are new. So where can we start with this Beckett story? Let's say Thursday or Friday night, there is an image that leaks and it looks like Beckett is going to be changing their grading. They have like a banner printed and the banner had 4 9.5s on it, and the grade on the slab, it was like one of their gold slabs, it was 4 9.5s, and then the grade on the actual card was a 10. So, initially people are like freaking out, like what's going on? Like, is Beckett changing their grading scale? Like, why are they changing it? Like, who was really asking for it? I think I saw some people that were complaining, like, for all of 20, I think it was Lamine James, I'm pretty sure, put up the Instagram story that was just like all of 2020 into 2021, people complained that Beckett never changed anything. And then they come into this year and they decide to pretty much change everything for the most part. And I don't necessarily think that it would have gone over well, even if they do go through with this. Like, this is, I don't know what Beckett was thinking when they came up with this. Now, I did see another image of that banner, and the other image actually had, it was updated based on what they ended up releasing the next day, which was their new upgraded standards. And it was apparently one of the grades on the new label was supposed to be a 10. And I think essentially the way that they were trying to do it, actually, I'm going to pull up the image, see if I can find it, because I know for a fact that they erased it because I just looked for it. But I'm going to go to a place where I know that it was. Let's So, not to plug one of the other shows that I'm on, but these were the grading standards that they were going to be using for essentially upcoming products or upcoming grading that they wanted to do. And essentially, what the big change was that going to be, if you got 110 and 3 9.5s, then the grade was going to be a 10. Where in the past, it was essentially you couldn't get a grade higher than you couldn't get a grade higher than a 0.5 points higher than your lowest grade. I think that makes sense. Like, hypothetically, if this was a 10, a 9.5, a 9.5, and a 9, you wouldn't be able to get a 10. You would have to get a 9.5, which, granted, these are not that grade. But if you look at it, like, you wouldn't necessarily be able to get a 10 because your lowest grade is a 9.5. And I think, it was based on an average and all these kinds of things. I don't know. Beckett really, it seems like it also seemed like I had a little bit of deja vu, to be completely honest, when they were doing this, because during maybe the national or some other industry conference, they leaked that they were coming out with a new slab that, like, really wasn't even that much of a change. Like, it was really just the design of the font, I think, was a little bit different. And the image came out because they had signage printed and someone got a picture of the signage. So they did it again. So I don't know. Look, I don't want to rag too much on Beckett here because I really don't even think this is too big of a story. Like, I really think that it's just like, it's another thing that Beckett did to kind of show that maybe they don't exactly know what they're doing, I guess. I think in the past, Dr. Beckett, obviously, is somebody that started Beckett, but he hasn't been there for a while. I don't know exactly what they what direction the company's going in. I don't know exactly what they're doing, but like I said, I don't necessarily even think that this is that big of a deal. Like, I think changing the grading standards is kind of a big deal. Like, unless that there's a way to tell, it just seems like by changing the grading standards that they're like changing the way that the industry has worked for a long time, which I get that a lot of people maybe have asked for changes from Beckett for a while, but it just seems like they're changing things that nobody really wants them to change. Like, and granted, I also don't even know, like, I think one of the things that I sort of have talked about for a while with Beckett is like, why would they change something if they don't have to? Like, if they have business and they're doing enough business where the company is making money, like, why would they go out of their way to change something? And I think that kind of conversation comes in here because it's like they were looking to change something, but then you didn't really have to in the first place. So it's like, why are they going sort of out of their way to change something that doesn't really need to be changed? Like most people are getting, autographs graded by Beckett. They're getting high-end RPAs graded by Beckett. For the most part, those are probably the two highest amount of cards that get submitted for Beckett. So it's like most of the time they could probably charge a decent amount for those cards to get graded too. So it's not like PSA where people will just kind of send anything into PSA. Like, they'll send lower end stuff. They'll send higher end stuff. They'll send, some people get autographs graded by PSA. But like Beckett, if you're grading, and this is the conversation about grading, and I at this point, I feel like it's almost played out, and it's almost like boring sometimes talking about grading nowadays, because it's like no matter what happens really with these companies, I feel like nothing is really changing that much. Like, I've always said this, what you're getting when you're sending cards to a specific grading service. You know what you're getting when you're sending them to PSA. You're getting top dollar. You're probably going to have to wait a little bit of time, but if you get a high grade, you're going to get a decent amount of money on the cards that you're sending in. If you're sending to SGC, you're going to get your cards sent back probably a little bit quicker. You're going to get still a decent return on some of these cards that you're sending in, but the return isn't really going to be what PSA is. And then with Beckett, like, you're probably getting like similar. You're probably getting kind of like a combination of the two, to be completely honest. Like, you Beckett 9.5s, Beckett high grade Beckett's, you're probably you're probably getting decent returns, but you're probably also waiting a little bit of time. But you're definitely not waiting as long as you are with PSA, but you're definitely also not getting as high of a return like you would with PSA. Now, the grading scale, this is sort of where it's like, what constitutes the value for high grades for Beckett? Because like, if you look, I feel like a Beckett card that has great centering is probably, that's probably, I guess, I don't know. This is, I'm thinking out loud a little bit here. The 4 subgrades for Beckett, you got corners, edges, surface, and centering. Each of those subgrades, in my opinion, probably comes with a different element of pricing. Like, you probably can look at a BGS 9.5 or even a BGS 10, I guess, for example, and you probably could look at those two cards and you probably find different buyers at different price points based on the subgrades. And I think that's one of the things that's kind of like with Beckett, I think is good, and I think it's bad. It adds another level of kind of nuance to the market that, like, if you're savvy enough, you can maybe play off some of those types of flips, or you can play off that type of info that you have, kind of. But at the same time, like, I don't think that this change, I guess this change would have affected it. But then the second half of this is the note that I was talking about here previously. Beckett came out, and essentially 48 hours after the announcement was made, they came out and said that they're reverting the changes and they're not going to be doing them. I think that, they had some people over at the Mint Collective this weekend talking about, like, we listen to the customers and that's why we are not making the change. And it's like, I don't know. It just doesn't really make much sense to me why they were making a change in the first place. Like, I didn't see anybody really who was like, Beckett needs to change the standards of grading for their company. Like, the subgrades I like for Beckett versus PSA, who has no subgrades. So it's like, why would they go and sort of try and change those subgrades and what that essentially equals? Like, obviously, you still have essentially the pristine 10 out of 10 label here. 10s for all the subgrades equals a black label. And I think essentially what they were trying to do was maybe bring more value to some of their cards on the secondary market. Now, I don't know if that is like an upcharge thing where they're trying to charge people more to get cards graded. I think that would be, to be completely honest, I think that would be an interesting reason why they might have done it in the first place. And I don't know what the upcharges are versus PSA. I know PSA is pretty strict when it comes to their like upcharging of their grades, but it's like, I think that this is a way to, I think that that could be one of the reasons, in my opinion, why they were thinking about doing this. Because like and granted, the subgrades, I think, add a level of nuance. And I think the fact that they were trying to change the 10, a BGS 10, they were trying to make so all you had to do was get 110. That changes the level of that changes. It makes another level of nuance to an already sort of confusing grading scale for Beckett in the first place. Now, I would say maybe you could say if you got 2 of 4, maybe you could do a 10, three 10s and a 9.5. I think that's reasonable to consider a 10. But like to change it from that to only 110, you can get a BGS 10. Like to me, honestly, that's kind of screams like they're trying to figure out a different way to make money in terms of like upcharging customers and saying, well, a BGS 10 sold for this, so we then have to charge you this. And I don't 100% know if Beckett does that the same way that PSA does it, but that makes sense to me of why they would do it, especially if it's something that not really that many people have asked for. And like I said, they're going to be reverting it back. They're not going to be using this new grading scale for their cards that they're grading. Now, I think overall this hurts the company pretty significantly. I think customers probably lost a lot of trust, and they lost a lot of desire to like go with Beckett when it comes to like what if they want to get their cards graded. Like in the market itself, it almost seems like it doesn't. In the market itself, with these changes and sort of how the way Beckett has been running their business, it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't bode well for, I think, future business, because I just think that people are like losing their patience when it comes to Beckett. Like I said, there was maybe a crowd of people who were saying that Beckett wasn't changing anything in 2020 and 2021, but like looking back at it, like maybe they didn't necessarily have to. I think with PSA, there was clearly some changes that they had to make to their business practices, so that way they could get cards more, they could process the cards faster. Now, Beckett's probably not getting as many cards as PSA, so there's probably that aspect to it. And I think all those kind of combinations in general really make this sort of a sticky situation for Beckett. And I said it's not a non-story, but I don't think it's as big of a deal. I think across YouTube and across Instagram and Twitter, you kind of saw people outraged. I'm not even really sure if people were actually that outraged, to be completely honest. Like I said, it's a story. It's important, but I don't know if it's as important as people were maybe making it out to be. We got Aaron in the back here. Let me close up some of these tabs here. We finished up that first video, which is good. Let me add Aaron in here. Hey.
What's up, Adam? How's it going?
Good. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Perfect. Let me pull up. How's it going?
Good, man. Good, man. I appreciate the invite.
Absolutely. I saw that David Adams swiped you before. I saw yesterday. I saw they were on the show. I was like, they got me. They got him. How did they get him?
They did. I don't know. This gave me a date, and I said, sure.
Nice. Yeah, that's exciting. We're going to get started in like just a second. I'm just making sure I got everything pulled up.
You're all good. No worries. No worries at all.
Let me... I was watching the NCAA tournament game the other night, and I had my bag next to the chair I was sitting in, and I went to go. I had a beer, and I went to go grab it, and my thumb nicked the side of it, and it just fell and got all over my stuff, and somehow it got like inside my bag and all of my laptop bag. It was
brutal.
It was a nightmare. Yeah,
that's
so
not
I
fun.
had to get a new bag because I tried cleaning it, but it still reeks. So I gotta get a new bag.
Straight smells like beer.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let me close this up here. All right, cool. Do you have a hard out, by the way? Like a time you need to be out by?
7:30 well, 8:30 your time at the latest,
Okay.
I'd say.
Yeah. We probably shouldn't go longer than that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, we're gonna get going here. Let me make sure I got everything. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. My name is Adam. I am your host. We have another guest here on the show today. One of my good friends in this hobby, Aaron Nowak of Slab Stocks. He is somebody who kind of got back into this hobby, I guess a similar time as me. I mean, we'll kind of get into like our history in the hobby and all that kind of stuff once we get into it. Aaron, how are we doing tonight?
Very good, man. I appreciate the invite. I don't think this is the first time we've done this together, but it's probably a few years ago we did it the last time.
Yeah, that's right. I want to thank you first of all for at the 2019 National. The first time that we ever met, I asked you if I could leave some stuff at your table, and you guys were like, "Yeah, sure, go for it." And I was like, "Oh, that's great," because the 2019 National, I walked in, I was just starstruck because it was crazy, and I walked over to like the Breakers Pavilion, and they had like a Eric Norton who works at Beckett, I believe. They were doing like a giveaway, and they just like gave me a graded card case, and I was just like, I got here literally 30 seconds ago, and now I have to carry around this case. And you guys were nice enough to let me leave it at your table, which was, like I said, very nice of you. So I want to start off and say thank you for that.
Yes,
also,
sir,
getting
welcome.
me in that group chat with like Lou and Tyler and Gary and all that kind of thing. I talked to Lou about that on the show on Saturday, so I want to thank you for that as well. So like I said, let's dive into it, I guess. So
Definitely.
you are somebody who has been in the hobby for what, since probably like 2017, 2018, at least for the coming back in. I'm assuming you probably have the story like most people where you're in as a kid, get back in it. So I definitely want to hear a little bit about that to start off.
To be honest, I'm not that old. Not to say you're old. You're not. I'm 24. So
right. Yeah.
I've honestly been collecting since I was 8. So I've been collecting for like 15 plus years straight. Maybe one semester when I went to freshman year of college when I had no means of shipping, receiving any of that stuff. Still looking at the market, not exactly as active, but still like interested, of course. Was probably like the only real downtime. But yeah, I've pretty much been in it for 15 plus years straight, and more so in the business side of it. Where it comes to the content, that since like 2017, 2018, but I had a lot of the foundation there from collecting for so long and understanding a lot of the intricacies of cards to the point where I saw an opportunity where could really try to educate those that were not aware, first of all, of what sports cards were, and number two, those that knew what sports cards were but maybe didn't think about them in the way that like, hey, you can actually buy and sell these to build your collection further. And that's what I did my whole life, was like buy and sell cards to build a collection is really what it came down to. And now it turned into, a business that my family is involved in, that we have, multiple other people helping with now. And it's really a great place to be. I love cards, and I'm just, happy to be here, of course.
Yeah, that's like you said. I mean, so that means you probably graduated college like 2-3 years ago, probably 2020.
Yeah, just 3 years ago, 2020.
Okay, yeah, nice. So the hobby is so many things to so many different people, and I feel like kind of we all have a narrative and story around ourselves. So like, how would you, like, if someone were to come up to you and say, hey Aaron, like, how would you describe yourself in the hobby? Like, what would you say to that person?
I'd honestly say that I'm a card collector just like you that had an idea to go and start posting things on Instagram way early on to drive discussion and to talk with other collectors. I'm very similar to everyone else in the hobby. And I think that's why a lot of people do relate so well to what Slab Stocks is and what we do, is because, we're not buying and selling $25,000 cards, $100,000 cards. It's like, we basically got here by just working hard, creating content, and buying and selling, small cards that end up making partnerships with different businesses and bringing, kind of these discussions to the masses. And obviously the card hobby boom helped a lot in 2020 with so many different people coming and trying to learn. And we just, ran with it during that. And and really try to galvanize a community into discussing more about cards. But yeah, really, I would just call myself a card collector for 15 years that likes business and likes numbers and likes sports, and kind of combined all together to bring people together to talk about it.
Yeah, and so I mean, I guess you and me have kind of seen sort of this industry change, and even for yourself, like the business and all that kind of stuff that you've been running has probably changed a lot over the past 5, 6, 7 years that you've been in it. So how do you navigate kind of some of the difficulties and things changing so often in like this industry?
I mean, that is such a big thing you bring up. Like, I am convinced that if we didn't pivot like 5 or 6 or 7 times in the last 5 years, that we wouldn't be here. And that's the number one name of the game, I think, for anyone that's in just collecting cards or buying and selling cards or running a business in cards. You have to be ready to adjust as the market adjusts and as the community wants different things, or as businesses you work with need different demands, whatever it might be. Like, you have to stay on your toes and be flexible, because things change all the time. Really all the time. It's a very like short term. Obviously, there's a lot of people that buy and hold for the long term. I'm not saying that I'm going to collect my entire life. I'm here for the long haul. But like, it's a very short term, like, move on to the next thing, and the next thing, the next thing, do something different here, do something different there, where you really have to be able to adapt. And it's a hard thing to do. It's a really hard thing to do. Like, first of all, like, I know I'm in a different position than a lot of people are in, where luckily, like, this is my full-time thing. I can run this business and support other people through it, and have us really work hard to make this something big. But let's say that, like, you do work a full-time job and maybe have kids too, and all this different stuff going on. Like, it's very hard to keep up with all the changes. So in essence, like, that's why I think we're here, honestly, is to kind of be that group, and that company and that media source that can bring you all the news you need to know through newsletter, through YouTube, through Instagram, through whatever it might be. As the stuff changes, like, it's always about trying to stay on top of the next story, trying to stay on top of the next thing, because for us, it's like, we really do think that speed's very important. Obviously, accuracy and facts is the most important, but like, after that, like, it's trying to get the information in people's hands as fast as possible while being as accurate as possible. Is, I think, why we were able to grow so well, is because we're afforded to have the time to spend on it. But the reason why we've grown to this point is because not a lot of people can't afford to have the time to spend on it. And it just kind of all worked out at the same time. So that's the goal.
Right. And, I mean, obviously, we've known each other for a long time. So like, I sort of know your story pretty well, in terms of like, you kind of started the business and then tried to sort of build something similar to Card Ladder.
Yeah.
So I'm just interested to know, like, how did that process go? And then, just as maybe maybe do you have any tips for somebody who maybe is trying to build something, and maybe it's not exactly working out the way that they wanted, because you guys pivoted. I think you pivoted pretty well. So I'm interested to hear kind of that side of the story, and then also, like, if you have any tips for somebody who maybe is kind of trying to go through a pretty big transition the way that you guys did.
Yeah. So I mean, when I started the business, like, it was starting with an Instagram account. It was starting to just talk about cards with the goal of someday, like, I had no money, had no tech background, couldn't just build an application, couldn't just build a data platform. I really had to get somewhere first before doing that. The goal was to someday, bring a product to the community that people would value and use, and especially myself too, because like, it was not easy to produce data, especially in like graph form or posts, Instagram posts, before there was like a great Card Ladder Pro or Card Ladder to use. And this was even before Card Ladder. I even knew what Card Ladder's name was going to be, or anything like that, or even Jeff and everything like that had the idea to build a data platform and almost like a model of StockX for cards, to kind of give myself the data too, because I want to talk about it, I want to post about it, I want to make it easier, and it was not easy the way I was doing it. So it's like, if you automate it, like, that'd be way easier. Eventually, like, kind of invested a ton of money into it. Had our team spend a ton of time, working on it to try to build into something. We did get it to launch eventually. We had to pivot like 5 times in between there because of how we were going to get the data. It wasn't working out how we first thought, or were told we were going to be able to get it. So then we really kind of had to just do a last grasp, and it was very difficult and time consuming and pricey. And eventually, like, we were probably like 3-4 months post launch. Nate and I had a conversation, honestly, one night, and it was like, hey man, like, we don't know if this is going to go anywhere. Really, Nate brought it to me first. I kind of knew it for a while, but that was my goal always, was to like get that data platform off the ground. So it's gonna be hard for me to say no than for Nate. And once he kind of brought that up to me, it's like, you know what, like, really, I just wanted in the first place to be able to create content off of it. And guess what?
Right.
Card Ladder, you can create a ton of content off of it, and that's what we do today.
Yeah.
So we pretty much just shut it down and just really went for it, which I'm proud of. Lost money, but proud of going for it. And made a partnership with Carlisle to create content, all the great data they provide, and to bring it to the community in real time speed, which is number one. Like it just worked out perfectly, honestly. So like, while it was a massive pivot from like, what are we working on and like, what's the goal? It was rather easy because we already set up everything else first. It wasn't like we created this product and tried to bring it to the masses. It failed. And that's like, well, shoot, now what else do we do? Like, we already doing everything, all the content. We were doing breaking at that point, traveling to shows, like doing all these different things to where it just made so much easy sense to transition over. Not to mention, we already had partnerships signed at the time with PWCC, and I believe we just started with Whatnot at the time. And then it was very easy to kind of make those partnerships bigger as we had more time available. And then also start working, with like SGC and grading to do some group submissions, then go, bigger with Whatnot, and then do different things with Carlisle. Then obviously with our platform, we shut it down. So like, it was almost like it couldn't have went better, I'd say, given the circumstances. The difficult part is that I think, a lot of people maybe who are finding themselves in like a transition period, like don't have maybe the infrastructure set up to be able to do it easily, which I think almost speaks so much to like, if you are looking to start a business in cards, if you're looking to do something different, like you have to go and start talking to people. I think there's so many people who come out and try to roll out a product like first. And like, that's the first thing I ever hear about them. It's like, oh, so-and-so is launching this new product. You either grab their attention right away and it works, or you don't and you have nothing left, right? Like for us, it's like we had tons of people who were signed up to try to try Slab Stocks Pro, and it didn't work, but it didn't really matter a whole lot because we had so many people already there talking about everything else with us. So we kind of had the infrastructure set up. So if anything, I'd say like, if you're going to take some risks and start a business and do this, like I would really make sure that you kind of put in time building some infrastructure first and some audience and different things like that before really going for it. Cause it's a huge risk if it doesn't work out, like massive risk, because you might be left with nothing.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I was having a conversation with somebody the other day about, the business and content and sports cards. And it feels like the relationship building is kind of almost just as important as some of the content that's being put out. So, I mean, for you guys, do you feel similarly, like when it comes to, your business and just maybe just being in this space in general?
Yeah, it's difficult because like our team's not that big. Well, yes, we have like a team, as I was saying, myself, my parents, Nate, who's been working with me since the start, Julian is an intern for us, and Andrew does our soccer content. Like, that's more than just me, but that's still relatively small based on how much we produce, I'd say, and how much other stuff we're doing in terms of actual operations. It's difficult because like you go to a show, like we go to a card show, and we do have to still get our daily Slab newsletter next morning. Like that's a lot of work to edit the entire thing. If you're at a show, that's time you can't do that. So then you're like, okay, well, do I go to this trade night, or do I go and do I finish my newsletter? And then oftentimes it means we do both and we stay up really late and then just are sleep the entire show. But I agree with you. It's like the content is very important for us, of course. That's what keeps us relevant. The relationship building is extremely important because that's how, I've been able to build different partnerships, been able to really make an impact in the community, I'd say. And even as much, I mean, I know that you might bring it up later, but like getting the Topps Big League card.
That's right.
I've just being out there for 5 straight years and just talking to as many people as I can, I think kind of leads to something like that. Like there's a lot of instances where I'm at different shows, I'm at different events. I talk to one person. Well, that one person works with this other person. That person invites us to this, and then that person tells us about. Like literally, there's this massive tree almost, which is formed with Slab Stocks and all these different people I know now, because of just being out there constantly. Now, I did miss the main collective this last weekend. I would say that's the first major event I've missed since starting Slab Stocks, which was definitely different. It was very different, like opening up Instagram, being like, look at all these people doing this, talking to each other, because all those people I know, like literally, the people there I know.
Yeah.
But I had a valid excuse for sure, and it was the Camp Kesem massive Make the Magic event on campus in Madison, Wisconsin. It's the biggest fundraiser of the year for the organization. We've done the fundraisers for the last 2 years through sports cards at the National, and they raised $123,000 on Saturday night. And the entire team was there, which was really cool. Like all of us were invited. Because of the different things that we've done with the help of obviously so many sponsors and donors and buyers throughout the last 2 years. But like, I just found that so important to go there and further that relationship and keep that going, because I think it's so unique where like anyone that goes to the Mint Collective can speak about things that they're doing in cards, but how many people can go there, and I know people can plan and do stuff, but like how many people are really going there to try better, people outside of cards, which is not blaming anyone. That's not a fault of anyone else. It's just like, it's such a unique opportunity. There will be more mint collectives, and I went to the one last year, and I already do know like so many people is the other thing too. Like it's tough not to be present, but at the same time, it's like I feel good because I have built all these things over the last 5 years versus like, oh man, I gotta go there and try to find a way to talk to said person to get something to work. Although I would have liked to be there too. I wish I could split myself in half.
Of course,
put myself in Vegas and here.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, so I'm going to ask you about Camp Kesem as well, because at the 2021 National, the last one that was in Chicago, you guys threw that event and had like the amount of sponsors that you guys had was like so impressive. And when we got there and there was giveaways, and there was like the trivia you guys did, and it was a really awesome event. And like, and one story actually I do want to share from that event that I thought was really cool was like, so I had won like some box, and then there was some other Bowman box, I think, that I had answered a question right, or I won it somehow, and there was like a dad and his son that were sitting next to me. I was like, you guys, I already won something, you guys can go up there and open it. And then the dad messaged me afterwards and was like, yeah, we opened the box on the plane back, and we pulled, I don't remember exactly who it was, but they pulled some auto out of the box. I was like, that's like, I mean, that's, I don't know. I mean, it was such an awesome, event, and you guys raised so much money for Camp Kesem. So, I mean, I'm interested to hear, I guess, what's your partnership? What's your relationship with Camp Kesem? I mean, and did you guys, I didn't go to the National at the last one, unfortunately, but like, was that something that you did there? And then is it something that you're kind of planning on for the future as well?
Yeah. So the whole Camp Kesem thing started, I was involved in it in college as a senior. Well, COVID hit. I never got to go to the camp to, basically, for anyone that doesn't know, Camp Kesem hosts camps throughout the summer at different cities around the country. But myself, I was involved in Madison, Wisconsin, where I went to school. And it sends kids to camp for free whose parents have or had cancer, a guardian that's battling cancer, something like that. And I basically, once I graduated, I didn't really have an opportunity to be involved more than just the semester and going to meetings and stuff like that. And by luck, pretty much someone donated $20 on a YouTube stream to us. They said, give it to charity. I said, I'm going to give it to Camp Kesem because of this. Basically, more people donated money in that stream. Like $300 is pretty crazy, honestly, at the time. I thought it was insane. And after it, my dad was like, hey, let's do something at the National. No one's doing like, really charity event. That's something that no one's doing that we can do, and hopefully it'll get the community going. And I was like, that's a good idea. So we launched it, had like 6 sponsors to start, 3 big ones and three smaller ones, mostly collectors with 3 smaller ones. And we got $10,000 raised in the first like 2 weeks just from those 6 people. Made the video announcement. This is the first year in 2021, and like $100,000 in sports cards ended up in the Slab Stocks HQ within like a month. And then we had everything ended up being sold various ways. Like we did a huge event, like you said, at the National. And that ended up being around like 156,000, I think, the first year, or after the entire first year, it was 156K, but I think it was around 130K that night at the National. And then the second year comes, right? Last year, we want to do it again. It's in Atlantic City this year, so there's a little bit of challenges because Chicago is close to Milwaukee. We could have some access from driving product back and forth. So we did not bring everything to the National last year. The year before, we brought everything. We had a huge setup, like all these tables with all this product. Last year, we brought some stuff that we designated to sell the night of Ryan's Trade Night. So basically, Ryan's Trade Night with Jimmy, Card Collector 2 and Kentucky Roadshow. They let us have a space in the room where we would be live streaming our charity, our kind of grand finale, as we call that, on Whatnot. We're doing big breaks. We're selling different boxes, different things like that. And that was a good success. And we basically spent the entire month beforehand too doing different live streams on Whatnot. We ran a huge auction in PWCC. It was like probably like over 100 items or something like that. That sold the Sunday after the National ended. So there was many more ways that the product was sold because we wanted to stretch it out over a span of time versus at the National, that was so much to ship after it. Like consolidate all into like one period of time was insane. It was very difficult to do. But this upcoming year, yes, we hope to do something. We will be doing something guaranteed again. I don't know exactly when it'll happen, where it'll happen. I'll have to talk with the guys with the trade night and see if we can make that happen again, because I thought that was a good success. A lot of people got exposed to it very easily through that. And more stuff in the works, and hopefully we can raise a lot of money this year again. We're pushing to get over 300,000 for sure total over the last 3 years to average 100K a year. That'd be like around 50,000, I think, this year, which would be half of last year. But I want to get over 100K again. Like that's always a goal. Now it is, of course. At first, it's $10,000, but that's the goal. but as long as you can surpass 300K, I'd be thrilled. Any amount of money is good. What am I saying?
Right.
Like,
yeah, totally.
any amount's good.
Yeah. And I mean, I think one of the cool things with, with cards and with charities and fundraisers and stuff like that is like people are, they're buying the cards and, they're getting cards for it. Like, I think that's really cool that like people, you're kind of giving collectors a way to give back, but they also are kind of getting something maybe themselves, like not just like a raffle ticket or something along those lines. So I think, like I said, I'm really excited for that event. And I mean, like I said, 2021, it was really great. And then, running that stuff at the trade night, obviously phenomenal as well. So like if you're watching this after the fact, you're watching live, make sure you be on the lookout for all that kind of stuff that, Aaron and the whole Slab Stocks team have got going on. So, when you were in cards, how did you start? Like, for me, I was kind of making content because I was trying to make stuff that I didn't see out there. Like I was trying to learn and then kind of show people what I was learning. So for you, like, what was your process to like get into content, I guess is maybe the question.
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, part of the process was one, my dad's been a content guy his whole life, writing for magazines, writing for different publications, working in General Mills, doing different things, running his own media company then for some time. And all that kind of just had me interested in the first place in like content. I will say I was always a pretty shy kid, I'd say overall through high school. Not inside my friend group, but just in front of the masses. But when it's something like cards where I've been so comfortable with my entire life, and honestly, it's not very comfortable back in high school around other people, it just gave me a way to like use my normal personality where I was like very high energy, and just like let it all flow out. Honestly, it really got me like way more comfortable public speaking and all that different stuff, which is great. But my, the just having that interest in content helped first. And then secondly, part of it, right, was like, hey, someday want to release an application and want people to talk about this stuff because I think it'll be useful to them. But second, it's like, I really did think that there was, as you kind of brought up, there was a massive void. Like there was nothing. I tell you what, maybe someday someone took a screenshot of something and like Yahoo Finance and posted it, and I'm just not aware of it or whatever they did. But like, from what my knowledge, I believe that like when I posted the first Excel graph on Instagram, that was one of the first sports card data charts that has ever been seen outside of maybe an S&P 500 and PWCC. Like they did that for the last maybe like decade, but it was not card specific. That's for sure. So I never saw anything like that. And I just thought like, what better way than to do something that no one else is doing? And I definitely was not confident at first. Probably told the story too many times now, but the first ever graph I posted in Alex Kirilloff, I actually deleted. And 20 minutes later, my brother asked me how it went. And I said, well, I deleted it. And then he goes, what are you talking about? He's like, put that thing back up there. So credit my brother a lot for Slab Stocks being a thing because I reposted the first post ever I made. I posted my, baseball cards before that, but first actual content post. And then a couple of people commented and were interested. And from there, it was like, wow, I can really, educate people along the way on everything I've learned about. Because honestly, like, and you might have found this out too when you're just starting, and that's probably how you found us. It's like there was not a lot at all. And when I say not a lot, I mean pretty much like nothing. Like you pretty much have to go through. You have to go through the motions yourself to learn, or you have to basically read all these different types of magazines or all these different types of manuals, or happen to look at some different forums where people bring up a topic, and that's so archaic, first of all. But like, there's nothing that's very, very good to quickly learn information in real time. And I was like, this is perfect. I'll do it, So kind of use the knowledge to do that. And also at the same time, it was like, I didn't want people, and this was before I even knew who Gary Vee was. I was like, I don't want people someday to like feel like how I did when I was younger, not when I talk about cars or they're not cool or, they aren't, kind of like sports a way to buy and sell your favorite players and stuff like that. And I figured if that narrative can kind of switch with like people getting more into it, like maybe someday they'd actually be cool. And funny enough, then Gary Vee comes along, and that helped a lot with just getting in front of the masses very quickly when he started posting about it. And then it all kind of went from there, honestly.
Yeah, and it's really so crazy to think back to like that 2017, 2018, 2019 period. Like Card Ladder didn't exist. The market movers didn't exist. PWCC was still like on eBay, so they didn't really have their marketplace. Golden, they had their marketplace, but it really wasn't what it is today. Like, Altwood didn't exist. I mean, the technology that I think we've really seen is like,
it's like if you could go before the iPhone, it's like when it's almost like, I think you could almost compare it to like when people were using like a house phone to call people, and then like when the iPhone came out. It's really like that's sort of, I feel like that's the transformation that has gone on in sports cards that I feel like sometimes people I guess maybe don't even understand. Like it's really kind of insane, to be honest.
Yeah, that's 100% the magnitude. And if anything, it's been like a tech revolution, honestly, in sports cards is what you would probably put as. And at some places to a fault too. You bring up how much PWCC has grown. Golden's marketplace is now a thing, all this different stuff. But remember, there's been places that have failed along the way. One of the biggest being Star Stock not being a thing anymore, really. But like there were places that tried it and didn't make it because you just can't have that many platforms and succeed. There's a lot of sports card collectors, but not enough to support 50 different platforms.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Especially because people can't spend time looking at all 50 different platforms. That's the biggest problem.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's true too. And I mean, I think it's good and bad. Like, I think the good thing is that like, if you really are trying hard, you can find some good, probably arbitrage between the platforms. But at the same time, like you said, like, if you're trying to sell your card for top dollar, it might be a little bit harder now because there are so many platforms. There's just the amount of eyeballs within cards and that are people that are looking to buy cards is a lot more spread out. Like it used to really be like eBay and card shows. And I mean, even if, and eBay was like the place where it was, I mean, I'm imagining probably similar for you, like where I was getting a lot of my data and information for creating content. And, like I said, when I saw you guys kind of coming into the conversation, not really conversation, but when I found a guy's account originally, like you said, the charts were really just not something I had seen. And at that point, I hadn't really been in it for that long, but the content, just the amount of people who have started creating content over the past few years has changed the space immensely. And I think, in a positive way, because now there's just more information. I think people are entertaining, so when it comes to content for you guys, like how would you say it's evolved? Like from, you post that first chart, now you guys are on Whatnot, you guys are doing podcasts, you guys are posting 1 billion times a day on Instagram, which is phenomenal. I mean, I don't know if you've seen on my stream, I usually go to your page and I just like look at some of your posts to find topics sometimes. So like I said, so for you, how is your content kind of evolved from that first chart, I guess? And that's maybe broad, but either way, like how has it evolved in a way?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it to start was charts. It was like, because that honestly was enough to drive the conversation back then. It was like this. It was so different that people were not familiar, that it was getting people constantly talk about it. Kind of changed more so into discussion pieces around different sets, different cards, trying to basically bring up any different topics that people want to talk about, honestly. And now a lot of it revolves around, yes, still the charts are still there, because the card letter helping us get those and everything like that. But a lot of it does come down to like, what is the quickest news that people need to know? Like last night with the whole Fanatics and Topps thing, actually kudos to you. You're the first person I saw it from, which is why I credit it to you. I saw it in our message and everything like that about Shams' tweet. And I was like, I kid you not, I drove somewhere to vote at like 7:30 at night. I was like the last person to vote probably. And I get the message from you. And then I open up my computer in the parking lot and I put my hotspot on and I get the post out. Cause I'm like, that's how fast it needs to be, honestly, to capture
definitely
the people. Otherwise, like, there are a lot of people that I think that kind of post things and it'll be 6 hours later, 10 hours later, 15 hours later. Like, obviously, like I'll try to be within an hour or two, or even the first one in some instances. But once you're like 6 to 24 hours out, I mean, it's like you're just one of many, at that point. So,
right, exactly.
So the speed is really important because, like, and especially with how the apps work these days, where it's like, if you don't get people to like and comment on that thing within the first like 30 minutes, like that post is gonna die. Like, no, they're not gonna send it out to more people because they don't think that other people want to see it. So it is such a bigger speed game now, I'd say, versus like in the past. I think they evolved a lot from like, okay, here's charts of baseball players, and it's like, here's these kind of longer write-ups with more education in it type of thing. And now a lot of it is a lot about speed. I think that's how it goes really with all social media now. A lot of it is, well, how fast can someone see something? How fast can they read it? How fast can they watch it? Which is why sometimes the long form stuff is really hard to get into people's hands. However, sometimes you get some really, really good interaction on, which is why like they invite me. Like we still do long form all the time. But it is much more difficult to get eyeballs on it than the quicker stuff. So that I'd say that's a big way is like we did try to focus on speed a lot in the last year and a half since that kind of transition I talked about, for sure, versus the bigger we used to do. I used to write articles where it was like I look at all these different numbers and talk about all these different multipliers.
Yeah.
That stuff is just very hard to get through to people. So I spend more of my time now in the speed game, for sure.
Right. Yeah, the nuance I think can sometimes be lost in a lot of sport, just even content in general. Like I feel like, I also just shout out to me being like addicted to Twitter basically. And that's how I sent that post over. Cause I think I refreshed like every 2 seconds and it had been like posted 12 minutes ago. And I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then, like you said, the speed element. And I think, it can definitely be tricky at times when it comes to trying to create the best content, but also trying to be like correct, I guess, in a way. Like there's been tons of times where I've taken a post down because the thing that I said in the video or the post was just like not correct. So like, for you guys, when it comes to accuracy, like how, like, is that, obviously it is important for everybody, but how is that something that you guys focus on? Like how, how do you take that into account? Cause like, I think, when it comes to, post, I feel like our sports card industry is so different at times where people saying things can affect a card, or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Who really knows, to be honest? But it's like, for you guys, like, is that something that you focus on when you're creating content?
Yeah, accuracy is extremely important. Like I say speed, and like sometimes I think when speed is heard, it means it's not accurate, it's not correct, right. or you don't take the time to think about it, which is not true. It is extremely important. Like for us, especially like at least the regard that we hold ourselves in, I think others do too. And as you can see, like Fanatics with the card, I think they hold us in the same regard. It's like we have to be correct with what we're saying. Like there are times where there are mistakes made. Post about this card, said card got relisted and I missed it. Right, I missed that it wasn't paid for, something like that. It was canceled, and those are kind of the ones that can catch me the most. And I'm like, shoot, I should have taken the extra step to make sure is paid for this or that. And I think that is definitely like where I'd say I've made the most mistakes, which I'm trying to get better. Like I always think of it now. I always try to think about it. And there actually is a way to take another step on eBay, even to go and look at their Terra Peak data, because that stuff that posts there is paid for. So I've been doing that a lot to make sure that I'm not falling into that. Now, like with the thing with Fanatics that you posted, that you messaged me about yesterday, the basketball cards, like that was a time where I needed to get that post up fast because I knew that type of post would get sent around a ton, would get liked a ton, would comment on a ton. But I was very concerned at first when I was posting it that I didn't know enough information about it because that tweet was very vague. Okay, so it says Topps is bringing back basketball cards. Well, first of all, they've already been making basketball sets. Overtime Elite, as you know, McDonald's All-American, whatever else. They've already made Topps Finest, that retro and a retired player set. They've already done that. However, the fact is that like 2023, 2024 NBA season, that clearly points to this is going to be active players. Now, the thing is, it's like, I think those are not going to be licensed. I'm sure you know that too. The Panini license runs until like 2026 exclusively. So like that's a point to where it's like at the time I didn't feel comfortable enough like saying different. So I literally just asked people like, hey, what do you think about this? Like more so than like trying to tell people like these aren't licensed or they'll be this, they'll be that. Cause like while those are, that's probably facts. Like I'm assuming those are facts. I'm not going to put it out there quickly and claim it to be fact. So I'll update, later as we find out more info, but it's a lot about as like we are a sports card marketer point account. Like this is not just Aaron Nowak like posting and stuff where it's like these are my opinions. It's like a lot of this stuff is fact, or it all should be factual. Right? That's what we're striving for. To where it's a lot different ball game than like so and so's random collector account. Well, I'm not putting those people down at all. But you can just give more opinions. Is what it comes down to.
Right. Yeah, I feel the same way. And I mean, you definitely learn throughout the process. And I think one thing that you said there that was good was like the speed aspect, I think, of the posting and learning. It comes in time. Like I think, for you guys and other content creators, like the more that you're posting, the easier it becomes, I think, in a way. Like I definitely feel myself like when I sort of, for me at least, I'm sort of trying to build this business a little bit in more of an efficient way, I guess. And sometimes there'll be a couple days where I won't go through and I won't be like looking for topics for stuff. And it just seems like it's like harder, but like, for like example, like the WWE and UFC, like they just merged, like the company that bought UFC just bought WWE. And it's like, I feel like if I hadn't been sort of in the mode of looking for content, like I may not have even thought to connect the two, like cards and sports. Like it just isn't something that I, am looking for. So like when it comes to the content you guys are producing and information that you're finding, like what's your like biggest resource that you're looking for? Like, or what's the biggest resource you use when you're like looking for information to make content on?
That's a good point. That's a good question, because a lot of this stuff is coming off of sports. First of all, okay, It's like what happens in sports, and then it's like how does the sales history, how is it affected on card ladder, and kind of merging those two worlds. Like that's a large portion of it. That when it comes to like the news and stuff like that, especially like card specific, like in some instances, you think about like Shams and Woj and Adam Schefter, and they've got these sources. Like sometimes there is things where it's like I get told something and I will report it, and sort it's from my sources, right? Like that's not like a large majority of the stuff, but it is really like staying in tune just to everyone else and what they talk about too, because someone might see something before me, which has happened all the time. Like someone like posted about the MLB debut patches that Fanatics announced, right? Like I think it's Darren Rovell. I saw it maybe from our MLB pipeline. Then I got sent to me from like tweet about it. Well, it's like almost taking that story. That's like, well, how do I reposition it different than other people have? So then I mocked up the Yoran Alvarez card with the MLB debut patch inside the Dynasty card, and that did super well. Like that was an insane post. We had like thousands of likes, tons of reach, but like it really is like trying to be as close to the ground as possible and getting in these like these kind of news stories early. I credit as much as humanly possible too.
Definitely.
I can't stand people that don't credit, or like even you. Like I don't know how many people really do credit people for just like people that share stuff with them, but like I'm giving credit to you for you sharing that with me. I found out about through you, like, and do have more people than just you who I know. I really do try to share like that type of stuff as much as possible, because I know how much work it is to work in media and to work in content. So just like, rip something off and not give credit is really unfortunate to me when other people do it. But that's a huge thing to me, is to really just stay in tune to all these different things and try to pick up on pieces along the way, and then figure out how to transpose the story as well. Versus maybe like sometimes an announcement's good enough if you're early, but other times it's not. Like you have to think about how to make it different, which is what I did with the Jordan thing.
Yeah, I do. I mean, thank you. Thank you for tagging me in that post as well. Appreciate that. I mean, like I said, it's just I mean, for me to sort of answer the question similarly is like, I just use Twitter like maybe I use it a little bit too much, but like Twitter is kind of the one place where I just am curating all the news. Like I have like a list of accounts that I know that post like good sports card stuff, and then other accounts that kind of post like news. So it's like I think you can like pin lists on your like homepage. So like I have like a news, which is just sports cards, and then I have like I follow Call of Duty pretty closely, so I have like a Call of Duty one, and then I have like they have the new For You page, which I think people don't like, but I think is actually fine. Like I don't know why people are complaining.
It's exactly
about
what it was. They just segmented it out now for you easily. It's literally exactly what Twitter was for the last like year.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think people are complaining about it just to complain, but that's not really. We're not talking about the Twitter For You page right now. But so let's jump back to, I think one of the coolest topics that has really come out of sports cards in the past year is there was a group of people who were included in this year's Topps Big League. You obviously being one of them. I mean, that's like, and you get the card in hand now. And so like how did that happen? You don't have to share sort of the granular details, but like, how'd that happen? Like, I mean, that's, like I said, super cool.
I mean, from like the physical optics of it, I literally got reached out to one day by one of the top people at Fanatics. First of all, I had no idea who it was beforehand. Super nice guy. Love the guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll send an email. He's like, I want to chat to you about something. And next thing you know, I get on a meeting a couple of days later and just talking about different topics of the sports card hobby, the sports card space. And then it was like, do you want to be in a baseball card set? I was like, come again? He's like, yeah, you want to have your own card? I was like, yeah, of course, Yeah. So like, it was really cool. It was an awesome moment. And just to have it now in hand is really cool as well. Like, to be honest, I had no idea what it looked like until the day the box is released. I never got a proof. Okay, no, I did take the picture, right? We took the picture.
Right.
So I at least knew what the picture is going to look like. I didn't know what the card is going to look like. And then the samples got to me the day of the release, and I was very thankful for that. That I got them in hand before I saw one listed on eBay or something like that. I was like, I
Nice.
saw this card in hand before I see it on my phone. And yeah, super cool moment. And I think 3 have sold now. 100, 100, and 125. I think were the last 3 sales, and there's one up at auction. The only one listed is actually an auction right now, ending in like 3 days. I think it's like 35 right now. So we'll see where it goes. But yeah, it's really cool, and it's really cool to see other people that got them. 5 people selected for this first set. I hope that they do it for more people going forward, because I know for myself, like, when you're a kid, you always want a baseball card, football card, if because you play sports, and now it's like, oh man, just because I collect cards, I get one. Like it's
right, exactly.
So cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, I think something that I thought was, I guess kind of interesting that sort of, I think is why the set sort of caught fire a little bit on social media is like, they called it, I think it was like the hobby influencers, I believe is what the name of the set on the checklist was. So, I mean, from your perspective, like, do you find it weird, I guess, to be called like an influencer? Like, I feel like it's such a, I feel like at this point, if you're on social media, everybody's just like an influencer in some way or another. But it feels like within sports cards, I don't know, the term is maybe not as positive as maybe it is in other industries. But like, how do you
not
kind of
because
think about it?
the reason why the term's not positive in the sports card industry, I think, compared to other industries, is because there's so much money spent in the industry.
Right.
There's so much money spent that if people are listening to other people and spending their money because of that, it can be very detrimental very fast. So that's why the term has got a bad kind of connotation in sports cards. As for the term itself, I'm just going to be completely honest. I do not like it. I've been called it at different events where I'm speaking on stage, and when I was in Toronto, I even said, "Hey, I'm not an influencer, I'm a collector." Right? Like I don't think I am an influencer. And yes, there can be people who can be seen as them. I'll let them speak for themselves. But I think that I'm literally just a collector that creates content, and I call myself a content creator. Is what I call myself. If I had to classify myself as anything, a card collector that creates content. And I name the set, and like,
Right.
I'm not even going to put down the name of the set because I understand like that is kind of it's a term, right? It's a buzzword. It's how people are called who connect with others. And I just think that, like, you're right. It's different in sports cards versus in other industries. So it is what it is. Right. But like, for me, like, I just don't consider myself an influencer, but, I get it. I get why they named it that, and I'm not going to put it down either, but, I would call it content creators.
So did you get to keep the Topps jersey that they sent you, or did you have to send that back?
Check it out.
You have it like hung up, or is it something that you're gonna like wear all the time or something like that?
It's actually in the closet in the other room right now.
Nice.
It is on a hanger, and it says my name on the back, and it says 23.
Oh,
so
wow, that's cool.
It's a customized jersey. It's not just a generic Topps jersey, but it's pretty cool.
That's
it's
awesome.
Pretty cool. So I think I'll have it in my rotation for shows now going forward. I feel like I kind of got to wear it out there, and people might find it kind of cool because it's on the card.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's really, so it has like your name. Like, did you pick a number? Like, did you get a number?
I think 23 is probably for the year, but funny enough, 23 is my favorite number. So
yeah. Oh, perfect. That ended up working out. Yeah, for sure. And so, in the industry, we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but like, things are changing so quickly. Like, I mean, last night Shams comes out and tweets that Topps is going to be coming out with NBA cards, and the next year, which is like not even that long. Like when they announced that Fanatics was buying the sports card licenses for basketball and football for like 2025, everyone was freaking out. Now it's like next year they're going to be coming out with cards. So like, from your perspective, what's something that you're looking forward to over the next few years when it comes to sports cards in the industry, and maybe even something like what Fanatics, I guess, maybe has planned?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the most exciting things that can happen in the next 5 years, like, of course, there can be tech upgrades everywhere. Like, we already talked about how much tech has advanced in the last 2 years, so that will happen. Tech will do its thing. I think for me, I'm most excited about innovations in licensing. We've already seen many ways in the last like 6 months to a year that licensing has taken a step up in different regards. Now tennis will have cards for Topps, specifically Topps Chrome tennis cards. Like, I'm very excited to see what the next 5 years brings in terms of licensing, especially as a major soccer fan. I'm sure that you're probably excited about that too. Like, I just feel that there's a lot of more ground that they can cover with that specifically. And I'm excited to see what happens there. The other thing too, it's like the whole MLB debut patch thing that they're doing now. I sure hope that we see that carried out in many different regards. And I'm not just saying the debut patches. I'm not saying, once they get the NFL license, like, let's slap an NFL debut patch on when the players make it. I'm trying to anything that has to do with game more material and make its way into cards, specifically for cards. It's been a big problem with Panini, as everyone knows, for the last like 5 years now. Like they used to do more game more, now they do like basically nothing. And there's a lot that can be done in that regard, and a lot of really cool things. I don't know what they all are, of course, but like I'm excited to see what is done, because I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. I think there's gonna be many, many, many things. Like I'd love to see something where, like, you know, with specifically with soccer cards too, like imagine like a full club badge inside of a patch or something like that. Like if they can get to those things quicker and easier because of all these partnerships that they had. They just bought the major Italian retailer now in Italy.
Right.
That also works with like AC Milan and Inter Milan, and then they also work with Chelsea right now directly, and PSG and Man U. Like, man, what's to say in this dynasty set I can't freaking buy a full club logo patch auto like right in the middle of the card?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
God dang, I'd freak out. Like we've never seen something like that. Like we've seen Panini do different things with patches, but never is it executed actually really well. A lot of the times when you see sick Chelsea patches with Panini cards, they're in freaking national team cards. Like I don't want that.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
so like there's a lot of ground that can be made up there, and I think Fanatics will be rather swift to cover all of that over the next 2 years with all their different licenses, which would be really cool.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know if you had a chance to check out the interview I did with Lou, one of our other good friends, but I have a new segment that I've been trying to roll out here. I don't know if you saw it. Hey, Aaron, it's Michael. It's me, Michael Rubin from the CEO of Fanatics. I really like your podcast. Congratulations on being in the big league set. That's a really great accomplishment. I'm looking for some business ideas, and I'm just wondering what can you bring to the table? This idea, unfortunately, I can't pay you for. Maybe in the future we will pay you for some ideas, but like I'm looking for a business idea. Like let me know something that you got for something that we can do at Fanatics.
I love that. It's hilarious. Honestly, I've said for years, like I know that the whole Disney licensing and Pixar licensing is like, some people get, some people don't. I don't know how it works. Gosh, I would just kill for a Topps Chrome Pixar set. I need a Buzz Lightyear Gold Refractor number 50 so badly in my PC, and it's never been made. But make it happen. If Kakao can make Disney cards, I know Fanatics can get their hands on a Disney or Pixar license at some point.
I think that's a phenomenal idea. Let me talk to Mickey and see what we can do if we can, and Bob Iger, I'll talk to him as well, see if we can get those licenses. Yep. Thanks, Michael. Thank you for that. I appreciate you coming on the show. Two episodes in a row. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that.
That's stunning, man. That's stunning. I can't believe you have that pull at him.
Yeah, it is. He is very busy, but he is cautious. He is nice enough to come on the show occasionally. He makes those 1 minute. He makes those 1 minute windows open for you all the time. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, and so I mean, I even think like you said with the Disney license, I think it would be. I mean, I think like I think that would be really cool. I think we saw like you were one of. I definitely saw you posting about those Pixar cards, the Japanese Pixar cards. I think those are, phenomenal. I mean, it's weird. I like Disney. I don't know if they are, I'm not sure 100% why, but like over the past few years, they have kind of licensed out the images, like, and especially this last Disney set. Yeah, exactly. The Pixar, it's a company that kind of we grew up with in a way, like it sort of was invented when we were like younger. So it's like, it's like, it's people like growing up with like Johnny Carson and like all the, late night hosts and stuff like that. It's like Pixar was something that we grew up with. So like, I would definitely love to see, Disney cards, or like Disney licensed cards for Topps or Fanatics or whatever, whatever they're looking to do. I think that would be definitely a really cool set.
100%.
I got a couple other questions for you. So, we'll go back to card specific questions. Do you remember the first moment or first card that you got that kind of sparked your desire to get into collecting?
100%. I mean, I've had cards before this. I bought some cards at a garage sale from Nate, who, I work with today. But the card that for sure like opened my eyes to just what this is. And I was really young. I mean, I'm in probably, I don't know, 6th grade at this point. This was 2008. I just moved to Minnesota, so I'm probably like 5th or 6th grade. I opened a pack of 2008 Topps football. I opened a lot of those blaster boxes back then. Brett Favre was on the cover. We just moved to Minnesota, my family, my brother and I, big Packers fans. Like when it just was eye-catching, I guess, and started opening up the cards and loved them, first of all, for like all the stats and stuff. But was putting together the set, and then one day, I'm going through all my cards, and it's like, hey, this one looks rather different. It's a variation, the SSP variation, and there's not many out there today, and I don't have one. I really want to get one back one day, but not for the price I saw the only one on eBay at. It was a Matt Ryan no helmet variation. So in the 2008 Topps paper set, they did some pictures of the top rookies where they're standing inside of like either their college. No, it wasn't the College Stadium. I think it was the Rookie Premier Stadium, which where they shoot all the images, and they're just standing there with no helmet on. And it was like at the time a Beckett book value $30 card. But remember, this is like 6th grade Arian, right? Like you don't make money, you have no money, you have like a couple dollars here and there for your birthday, and looking at that card and being like, holy smokes, this thing's $30. That was like, it made me realize that there's money in this like very fast. And that
it's like $1 million for like a kid like that age.
For sure. And it made me realize that like there's way more out there than just this random Matt Ryan card, right? So from there, it was like that sparked me to like really go at it. Whereas like I started Googling about like anything I could almost, and then pretty much stumbled upon my first sports card show, which was at Valley View Mall in Minnesota in Bloomington. And I took the card there. I'm pretty sure I traded it to someone who had a booth there for like, $30 worth of other cards. Aaron Rodgers rookie, Kevin Durant rookies, Kobe rookies, like the Topps ones, like, the 96 Topps Kobe rookie, like those things. I basically traded for a slew of superstar rookie cards. And I still have those actually. Still got the Rodgers, still got the Kobe, the KDs and stuff like that. But that is where I was like, yeah, you can take this card, you can trade it, you can buy it, you can sell it. The first card show was for sure like the experience that for sure hooked me. Like and that wasn't just hooked on opening packs. I was like hooked on like being involved in doing it all.
Definitely. And so do you have any cards that you previously had in your collection that you regret selling?
Yeah, there's like not too many cards where I'm like, dang, I really wish I had that like right now. I oftentimes like I have a lot of cards I've had for either my whole collecting life, like the Kobe rookies and stuff, or cards that I acquired like years and years ago when the Brewers were really good. It reminds me of the time when the Brewers were almost in the World Series, and those, like I've sold a few here and there, but not many at all. Keeping those. But the card where I'm like, dude, I just wish I didn't sell this because I don't think I'll ever be able to buy it again. I don't think I might even ever see the specific parallel again, other than maybe one off somewhere. The second soccer card I ever bought, this is right after the National in 2019, the first time I meet you, of course. And I bought a Kylian Mbappe. Like I went in big because I was young and was like, hey, let's do this thing. Right? So I bought a Kylian Mbappe 2000.
Well, also the Kylian Mbappes back then were like $5. So like
they were
going all in was like you could spend like $100 and get like 10 or 15 of his cards, which was insane nowadays.
Exactly. The base were like $2 from Prism, but I bought a Pulisic auto from 2017 Select on card first, not the rookie, but it's on card and USA guy, of course. And the second one I bought was the Mbappe, but it's 2018 National Treasures, which is from the same year as the Prism, right? World Cup thing. It's not like it's 2017 rookies and stuff, but the first NT card from for sure. 2018 National Treasures, gold out of 10. I've never seen a more beautiful card, I think, in my life. Honestly, it was spectacular. I freaking love the card. Now 50 sold the other day for I think like $3 or $4 grand.
Ooh, wow.
I bought it for $500 in 2019 as a gold out of 10. Now I sold it for like over 10x, $500.
Right.
Which is why I'm not like, oh my gosh, I'm kicking myself. It's for sure worth more than I sold it for, I think. And I even sold it, it was like right before kind of like the massive boom. It was still around that time, but before the massive soccer boom for sure. But that card, I just think about it a lot, meaning like it was a beautiful card. I'm obsessed with gold numbered out of 10, not even from Prism because they're way too expensive, but from other sets where they look really cool. And that card just, oh man, I wish I could have that one. And there's not many cards I say that about, but that one I do.
So I don't remember if it was the 2019 National, the 2021. You bought like it was in Argentina. Was it I forget which exact card it was. It was a black card with like a silver auto that was like, was it Luis Suarez or was it Messi?
It was Uruguay and it was Luis Suarez. Yeah. And that was at the 2019 National. That was actually, I take this all back. The Mbappe was the third soccer card I bought. I actually traded for the Suarez, but that was my first ever soccer card. I still have that to this day, actually. It's pretty close to me, but it's got half the La Liga logo patch, match used, gold ink auto. I get people ask me about all the time at card shows. I always put it in the case, overpriced, because there's offers I won't turn down. But I still have not sold it to this day. It's my first soccer card ever. So that was actually what kind of kickstarted all, especially talking with Tyler from 137. He was the soccer guy I kind of first met. And looked into it and really fell in love fast. Massive Chelsea fan, watch all the matches now and everything. So it's a great time, but I do still have that card.
Yeah, I remember getting back from that 2019 national after we did probably had the same conversation with Tyler where I was asking him about like Mbappe, and then I came back to like my like somebody who I worked with was into soccer, and I was asking him about soccer, and that was like this summer that Pulisic went to Chelsea. And Chelsea was the team that I follow as well. And so like that was, I mean, I didn't know anything about Pulisic. The guy that I worked with was like, yeah, Pulisic, he's going to Chelsea. I'm like, okay, well, I guess, that's good. I can now follow him again. I was kind of, getting back into soccer.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, now Pulisic, obviously, superstar, phenomenal facial hair, just I don't know. I think he's crushing it. You could say he's crushing it. Maybe he isn't. Just if you were to ask a soccer fan, like maybe he's not. I always think it's always fun watching him on whether he's playing for Chelsea or whether he's playing for
too many injuries recently, but he's definitely got talent. I think he just needs to find the situation where he is the star versus kind of being one of many guys who play when they're not injured.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So I got two more questions for you.
Yep.
So what would you say is like, what card in your collection would you say means the most to you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, right? Like there's a lot of Brewers cards that the Rainbow of Yelich from the Heritage High Number set is probably one of my favorite collectible pieces, maybe my very favorite collectible piece, but it's like 16 cards big. The Kobe rookie means a lot as one of my very first cards, and I traded my Matt Ryan for it. Or at least if I remember correctly, I traded for it. Otherwise, I bought it at the exact same show. I came away with that card, I know that much. But I mean, if I have to put one card like up for it, I actually brought it out here for this is Hank Aaron rookie PSA 3. I'm actually going to cross-grade this to SGC, I believe, in the next week or so. This is my plan holding for the rest of my life, and I am obsessed with the tuxedo slabs with the vintage cards for sure. But this, the very first card show I went to, I saw Hank Aaron rookie card. Okay, I'm sure like 3s or 4s or 5s were like $200 at the time. But being 6th, 7th grade, I couldn't buy it in 6th, 7th grade, especially when just starting my collection. So it was kind of my goal since I started collecting when I was that young, was to one day get a Hank Aaron rookie. And I did get this as well. Funny enough, so many stories are from the 2019 National. I did finally get this at the 2019 National. Had more money, bought and sold more cards that helped get there. And I got this for $1,200 from a super nice guy there. Now they're like 4 or 5K depending on how nice the copy is, or 3, 4, 5K depending on how nice the copy is. But I think like unless something absolutely dire happens to me where like you need to like save your leg or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
I don't see a reason why that card will ever be sold in my life.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love hearing stories about like any card. I mean, anytime you can hear people talk about, what they've done to get their dream card and stuff along those lines. So the last question is something that I try and ask everybody that comes on is what has sports cards taught you?
It's a great question. It's taught me a million things. I mean, honestly, I've learned a lot about my business skills, my communication skills, my personal skills, whatever it might be. Honestly, I've pretty much learned everything from sports cards or doing things that have helped me be good at sports cards. It all kind of revolves around there. I don't think I can put my finger on one thing where I'm like, this is the most important lesson. I just think it's so important to do something you love and to not only do that, but to use it to help benefit others too. Which is really the massive driving force. I mean, no doubt there's stressful days. There's days where I'm like, I don't want to do this or that. I want to do a lot of things. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But there is, sometimes always those things no matter what you're doing, but like it always comes back to like, hey, are other people in a better spot because I'm doing this? And 99.99% of the time, or even 100% of the time, it's yes in my mind, which will make me keep doing this hopefully forever.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I mean, I think, it's the content and the business aspect's fun for us. And I mean, I think that's sort of what I've tried to do, I guess, is when I learn something is like share the knowledge. I think, if I can share the knowledge, and even if, one person or two people learn something from something that I'm saying, that, that I guess that helps them. And that's obviously, I think that's a net positive when it comes to the content. I mean, even, whatever, we all go through times where content isn't doing as well, but even if one person, I guess, saw a post and thought it was useful, like I think it's a net positive in terms of like everything that's going on in the world. So yeah, like I said, I want to thank you a ton for coming on. I mean, we've known each other. We've done these all a bunch of times. So it's always a blast having you on the show.
Sure.
Let the audience know sort of where they can find you, all the channels, all that kind of stuff.
Definitely. At Slab Stocks on Instagram is going to be your main place to learn quick news. Daily Slab newsletter you can sign up for at slabstocks.com. That's going to have multiple content pieces per newsletter every single morning at 7 a.m. Eastern time. And you can find us on Slab Stocks on the YouTube channel and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. once you do all that, you pretty much know where we are.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Like I said, Aaron, thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Adam. I really, really appreciate it, man.
Have a good night.
You too.
Again, I mean, I say it with all the guests, phenomenal. Aaron is one of my good friends in the hobby, and I'm it was inspiring to see that he got that card in Topps Big League. I mean, that was phenomenal. I mean, I talked about that in a previous video about Topps Big League and, the people that were in it and how cool it was. So, obviously I enjoy conversations like that where you can kind of just, you can kind of catch up and, and help, people that maybe are sort of in a business similar to this, all that kind of stuff. Thank you again for Aaron. Thank you to Aaron for coming on. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm catching up with him. I talk to Aaron, not like a daily basis, weekly basis, probably. I mean, we're in the group chat. So, like I said, thank you. Thanks to Aaron for coming on. Let's see. We got some other topics. Let's see. I think I do have to post here though. I posted on TikTok, and I think I found that people don't know the Topps Now cards are actually, let's just post this here. Just posted already. Oh, post. Oh, all right. I'm gonna set up here and do the other videos. Not other videos, other topics here. Let's see. What else do we have? We talked about Beckett. It's all right. Now we are going to do Topps basketball. We talked a little bit about that on the show. Let me pull up a new tab here. Got my tweet here down. Let me make sure this posted. Yep, we're good. And I'm also going to post on Instagram as well, actually. Drafts. Where are my drafts? Oh, here we go. Yep, we're going to go here. Bada bing, bada boom. And we're live on both posts there. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. My name is Adam. I am your host. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about the recent news that Topps is going to be releasing some basketball products as soon as next season in the NBA. Like I said, thank you for clicking on this video. Like if you enjoy the video, hit the subscribe button if you are new, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this topic, so make sure you leave that in the comments as well. So again, sports cards, you never really know when breaking news is going to happen. So Shams comes in over the top last night. Depending on when you're listening, this could be a few nights ago. But so on the night of April 4th, Tuesday at 7:40, he just comes in with this tweet. Fun development, Fanatics is launching basketball cards under its Topps brand beginning in the 2022-24 NBA season. Industry source says. I would imagine that's probably coming from somebody at Fanatics, if I had to guess. I don't know who. But it also is kind of cool. If you think like Shams is tweeting about sports cards, like that's always pretty cool. I mean, I don't know if I'm necessarily the number one person that has followed celebrities in the hobby news, but I definitely think for the most part, anytime there is a celebrity or someone outside of our industry talking about sports cards, I feel like I try and cover that to the best of my ability, at least. And sometimes it's not, sometimes they're not people who I'm interested in talking about. And sometimes it's people like Shams, one of the biggest NBA reporters there are out there. So a couple different thoughts here. I think that it's going to probably be an unlicensed product if I had to guess, just because Panini still has the NBA license for at least another couple years. Now, does that mean... Now, does that mean that the product is going to be, only NBA, or are they going to include maybe the G League, or are they going to try and license are they going to try and license something from Panini to maybe make a brand? I don't know exactly what this really means, because Topps has also made basketball cards in the past. Like they had the Overtime Elite, they had the McDonald's Topps Chrome set that recently just came out. They had the Topps Finest basketball that came out that was like old players' autographs. So I'm thinking that they're trying to capitalize on that player coming over from France and get some of his cards potentially into a sports card set, like an NBA set. If it's not going to be licensed, I guess, is it really even worth it? Like if they're coming out with this product, like I do wonder when it's going to go into production. Like I would imagine, the design of it probably is already in some sort of production. The actual production of the cards, probably not, because if it's going to be the 2023-24 season, that means they're probably going to include the upcoming draft in that product. So, maybe we'll see Scoot Henderson. We'll see, Victor, he coming over from France. But like, is the licensing for these cards going to be important? I think it will be important probably, but I also think, Topps isn't afraid to come out with unlicensed product. Like they did come out with the Topps Chrome, or the Bowman Chrome football set last year that had like the Bryce Young first Bowman Chrome that was unlicensed. So like I wouldn't be surprised if it's a similar situation where they are going to come out with some sort of Topps Chrome product or a Bowman Chrome product for this upcoming season, and then the year after that, maybe they're going to try and figure out the licensing. Obviously, I don't think anybody really saw the NIL kind of deals coming through when it came to sports cards and just NIL in general. So, like, this deal, I think, is much different than I think, like, the NIL contracts that Topps has signed. I do think that, like, when it comes to the products, they are going to try and – I think that they're going to try and get the licensing realistically. Like, I think that for Topps to just come out and say that they're going to start making an NBA product again, I have a feeling like they're not going to want to come out with their first product, like their first, and I guess it will sort of depend on what the product is. Like if it's Topps Chrome, I don't think that they're going to come out with a Topps Chrome product until they have the license, which means that they're either going to try and get it from Panini, or maybe they try and do some sort of sub-licensing through Panini. I don't know exactly what's going to happen with the licensing, because like Panini still has it until like 2025 or 2026, I believe. I forget the exact date, but like I think if they were to do maybe a higher end set with like building up like a National Treasures like set for these cards, that would potentially be maybe a more realistic approach to there being an unlicensed set, because I think when it comes to autographs and game used memorabilia, collectors don't really care as much about if it's a licensed set versus like a base card. Like they care much more if it's a base card that's licensed versus a unlicensed like RPA or an autograph, because at least you are getting, even if it's unlicensed, at least you're getting something that is specifically related to that player. You may not get the team necessarily, but I think that there is going to be a significant difference between getting an unlicensed product that is like a base product, like a Topps Chrome or like Topps Finest or Bowman Chrome, depending on which ones they choose, or coming out with like a higher end, like I said, I need to start probably looking up some of these higher end top sets, because I'm not sure what they are off the top of my head, but like the higher end products, they can use like headshots and they can use like different things that are, and it's the same way with like Panini, how they come out with like a National Treasures baseball. Like the National Treasures baseball, I feel like has more staying power in the hobby than like a I don't know. There isn't really necessarily a thing that I can compare it to because Topps doesn't really come out with, other than like the Bowman Chrome set from last year, they don't really come out with too many unlicensed products. And now that obviously they're getting all of the licenses, that's not really something they have to worry about. But like they don't really come out with too many of these like unlicensed products the same way that Panini does. Because like Panini obviously wants to try and capitalize on baseball. So like they're going to come out with baseball products that are, national treasures, and they're going to be unlicensed, but they're still getting, RPAs. They're still, maybe not RPAs, but they're still getting like patch autograph cards. They're still getting like cool one-of-ones. And I feel like if Topps does something like that for basketball, that's probably the approach that I would go in, at least to start, just because I don't know. Because I heard, Josh Luber talking on the Luca Nation podcast at the Mint from this past weekend, and he was talking about how the licensing deals that Fanatics is signing, they're not just like a couple years. Like these are like long licensing deals. So like they have a long-term view of the hobby. And I hadn't thought of it that way, to be completely honest. Like I guess I had hoped that they would think of it that way. But the fact that somebody at Fanatics, whether you think Josh Luber is good for Fanatics or whether he still works there or not, he has been working there in the past. Somebody who has been working there looking at this and saying like, they have a approach that is going to be long-term versus an approach that's going to be short-term. I think that is a really good thing when it comes to how they're going to start rolling some of these products out. And I also think it's crazy to think back like 2 years ago when Fanatics came in and said that they were, buying the baseball license. And then they came in and said they're buying the football and basketball license. And then they came in and said they're buying Topps. And it all seemed like such a long time away. And it's like, we're kind of there. We're basically there, like to the point where next year Fanatics says they're planning on coming out with NBA products, whether those are going to be licensed, whether they're going to be unlicensed. Whether it's going to be a high-end set, hopefully this. Whether it's going to be a high-end set or it's going to be a base set, we aren't exactly sure yet what that means. Like, when these announcements come out, it's pretty much all speculation. And this is something that I don't know if I was on a podcast or if I was talking about it on my podcast, but like everything that we're hearing now is just kind of speculation for what the future is going to hold. We don't know what kind of products Topps is planning on coming out, because just saying that they're going to make NBA products really doesn't give us much information. Because like I said, if you look at I think it was Watch the Breaks, Ivan, he tweeted about those three products that I mentioned earlier. So Topps has made basketball products before, or they in the past few years. This isn't even they made not NBA, but they made retired players like Topps. There was a Flashbacks Topps Finest, I think, with autographs, and we saw people like Dirk Nowitzki signing and all that kind of stuff. So we've seen them come out with products, and now it's going to be now we're almost to the point where they're going to start coming out with what the next generation of sports cards are going to be. And it's exciting. It's nerve-wracking. It's fun to see somebody like Shams tweeting about, sports cards. Because I think, this has 450 retweets, bunch of quote tweets. It has 1 million views. We've seen sports cards in different ways. Over the past few weeks, we've seen sports cards go viral in much different ways than I think we've seen in the past. Like we saw Michael Rubin's video where he was at the card shop and he FaceTimes Devin Booker. We see Shams tweeting about sports cards and getting 1 million views on a tweet. Before, it was like ESPN or Forbes was writing an article about the $1 million sale. And, that's obviously much different. I think that's going to create sort of a different environment. No, that's not what I'm looking for. It's creating different, not like aura. That's not really what I'm looking for either. But it's the way that cards are going viral now, I think, is different than how it was during the pandemic, which I think will potentially lead to a healthier market, hopefully, because I think to say that the sports card market has been healthy is definitely not true. I don't think over the past few years we've seen dramatic increases and dramatic decreases, but I think the way that maybe Fanatics and hopefully the new kind of generation of card collectors and people creating content are trying to help the market more will lead to not, it might not lead to a 20x increase, but it's not also going to lead to like a 15x decrease. Like maybe it's only a 1 or 2 or 3x increase, but it's not going to lead to such a huge increase and such a huge decrease. So I think that the, Shams tweeting about this is very cool. But like I said, we don't really have much more information, other than Fanatics rolling out that they're going to be launching basketball cards in 2023, 2024. I don't even know if I need this actually. Okay. All right, what else we got here? Live show? I don't even know if I even want to do this live. Oh yeah, WWE. This is crazy. Stop reset. We're gonna go here. We're gonna bada bing, bada boom. How many more topics do I have that I want to go over? High-end report, women's finals, start of the baseball season, New York Times article. Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. My name is Adam. I am your host. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about the WWE and UFC merger that recently happened and how I think that could affect sports cards. Like I said, thank you all for clicking on this video. Make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. I'm interested to hear your thoughts, so leave those in the comments. And if you are new, please hit the subscribe button. Now let's get right into it. Pull up the tab here. Okay, so it was announced the day after WrestleMania which I don't know if you watch WrestleMania, I was a little bit disappointed, to be completely honest. Roman Reigns, whatever. Maybe it's a similar era to like other wrestling eras where, the people are like, the top wrestlers are, the dominators and they're just going to dominate or whatever. But I was hoping that Cody Rhodes might win. I don't know. He didn't. So that's unfortunate. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens winning. That was really cool. I was excited for them, but like, I don't know. It just seemed like it was a weird decision to, book that match and then have the Roman Reigns just win sort of by, not even really winning, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But the day after WrestleMania, it comes out that Endeavor is going to be buying WWE for $21 billion. And that is the same company that owns the UFC. So WWE is an interesting spot, in my opinion, because it seems like over the past few years, that there's been sort of like a decline. I don't know. Maybe this is coming from a little bit of a novice. I've kind of gotten back into wrestling a little bit, like watching, Raw and SmackDown here and there. Not like super in depth. Like I watched some of the WrestleMania clips that were coming out on like Twitter and stuff like that. But like, overall, like it seems like there's been a ton of news stories, similar kind of with sports cards maybe, where people are talking about WWE losing money and like the company is not doing well and the stock isn't doing well. But now the UFC is going to be buying the WWE, or not the UFC, but the company that owns the UFC is going to be buying WWE. So when it comes to sports cards, Panini still has the rights for WWE and UFC. So I wouldn't be surprised if now there's some sort of maybe joint product together. Like, I don't know if the licensing is all together now. Like, I would imagine if you're, Endeavor, there's a chance that, maybe you go to Fanatics and be like, hey, now we have both of these licenses. Like, what do you want to do? And if Panini lost both of them, I don't know. I don't really know what would happen there. I mean, it's really like they lost their two big moneymakers in the NFL and the NBA. So like at this point, if they lost the WWE and the UFC, I mean, I think it would be like a drop in the bucket compared to like them losing the other two licenses. But I think overall, when it comes to what they're going to do, maybe, over the next few years, I've talked about, celebrity type sets where I think there could be celebrities, and I always put those two sort of in the same kind of conversation, just because for the most part, like celebrities make appearances in the WWE, celebrities make appearances sometimes at the UFC in like the stands and stuff like that. The Hezbollah card, for example, like, that was one that he was in the stands, and that's where they pulled that image from. So over the next few years, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see like a WWE UFC product. I don't know if it's going to be like a Prism product. Like, I don't know if they're going to use one of their bigger brands. Like, maybe they start out with Chronicles. Like, I think when it comes to cards and newer types of cards, I feel like a Chronicles type product is probably the best way to go when you're trying out something new. I think it's hard for sports card fans to really get on board with new products and new things within the space. So when it comes to something new, I think like a mixture of a bunch of different things is really how I would go about it. And then I don't know if you take the data from maybe secondary data, or you take the data from like, I don't know exactly what kind of data you pull, but then you find a way to get data from those sets. Like, I don't know, maybe you put in like you make like this is me brainstorming on the spot here, but maybe you make like a card that also comes with like an NFT, and you see or you make a product that also has an NFT that's related to each of the cards, and you can scan the QR code, and then that gives you the NFT, and then they can see which cards maybe had the most amount of scans. I don't know if maybe that's something that's over card collectors' heads, and maybe that's more of like a Web3 technical type of thing that maybe won't even give you the right amount of data, because it's like how much data could you really pull from that? But either way, I think like a new type of approach to a product, especially now that these two brands are together, would be kind of interesting. I think maybe if they were to pull in like some sort of boxing or some sort of like, I know there's like a professional fighting league, like that, I think it's on ESPN. Like, I don't know if it's like a combat sport product that they combine all of them into like I said, like a Chronicles type product. I think it gives, I don't know if it, what am I trying to say? I don't know if creating this product will cater to the audiences they're trying to cater to, because I feel like the UFC fans are not necessarily WWE fans and vice versa. Like, I feel like they're all a little bit siloed when it comes to being a fan of the other sports. Like, I'm sure there's people who are WWE and UFC fans, but it feels like it's a specific type of fan that is a fan of that specific sport. So maybe combining them isn't really the way to go, unfortunately. Maybe I don't know. It wouldn't be a detriment, I don't think. But like, maybe combining the products isn't the way to go. I think it would be cool. Like, so as somebody who is, I'm definitely more of a fan of WWE than I am UFC. But I mean, I wouldn't even really say like I'm a huge fan of WWE. Like I said, I kind of have started following it more over the past like year or so, probably. So like, my opinion on this maybe is a little bit different than somebody who's been a diehard WWE fan or a diehard UFC fan. Like, maybe they don't want to see these two entities, create a sports card product together, or because then you're adding almost another layer. Because then you're adding, like, if you're a WWE fan or a UFC fan, and if you're a sports card fan, you're kind of it's almost like peeling back an onion. Like, you're peeling back multiple layers of an onion, where like, what is the audience for a product if they're trying to come out with something new? If they're trying to come out with a WWE or a UFC product, maybe keeping them separate is the way to go. Maybe combining them is if you're combining them, you're probably catering to a very specific audience, because like I said, I feel like the fan of WWE, the fan of UFC, and the fan of sports cards are probably three different types of people. And if you're finding somebody who is a fan of all three, like, I feel like it's probably fairly rare when it comes to somebody who would be a fan, someone who would be a fan enough to buy a sports card product that's going to be a fan of all three of those things. But I don't know. I do think, like I said, I think this could be good for Panini. This could be good for, it might be even better for Endeavor, because maybe they go to, like I said, maybe they go to Fanatics, maybe they go to, I don't know, some other company, and they start shopping this license out, because like WWE did just sell their license to Panini. Like, it used to be Topps up until I think it might have been either last year or this year is the first year that Panini was coming out with WWE products. So it's not there are like Topps products as of even like over the past few years that have been WWE. UFC, I don't know if I know Topps used to make UFC because like the Conor McGregor rookie that everyone wants is a Topps card. I'm not sure when that license would have started for Panini, but now they both like the Endeavor company has both licenses. Technically, they have both licenses because they own UFC and WWE. So it's like maybe they try and shop these licenses out a little bit, or maybe they look at. Maybe they get more involved. I don't know. I think that this is sort of a thing where I am speculating a little bit because like I feel like this topic is a cool one to talk about. I'm trying to relate it back to sports cards. Maybe there's not going to be any change. We don't really know because like I said, this news just came out. But I think it would be cool if they came out with a UFC WWE product, and I think that the celebrity aspect of it, of both sports, I think would relate to kind of them being able to come out with like a celebrity type of set within, if they came out with like a joint product, or if they wanted to come out with like a celebrity fighting product in general. Like I think like maybe even a Goodwin Champions or like a Allen and Ginter. I think obviously those are Topps and these are Panini, but I think a product like that potentially would be kind of cool for these two companies because, like I said, now the same company basically owns the licensing rights for both of the combat sports. Yeah, good. Another good one. I think it's interesting. I don't know if let's see. We've got okay, so I'm trying a new segment here. How do I want to do this? I probably want to pull this tab up. Trying a new segment. It's called the High-End Report. Let's share this here. Filter, we want to go by date, so we'll do last week. So we'll do from Monday the 29th to Sunday the 2nd. We're going to talk about the cards that sold here. That's what I do wrong here. Oh, because I did May on accident. We're doing March 27th. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. My name is Adam. I am your host. I'm trying a little bit of a different segment here on the video today. We are going to be looking at the previous cards that sold from March 27th to April 2nd. This is basically the last week of high-end sales. We're going to be using Card Ladder for some of this data, so let's get right into it. Thank you all for watching. I would appreciate it if you let me know what you think of this segment down in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, and if you're new, hit the subscribe as well. Okay, so like I said, we're trying to maybe do something a little bit different here. We're going to be looking at some of the high-end cards that sold. I am using Card Ladder to pull this data. We are filtering from those dates, and then we are going by price here. So a Steph Curry, a PSA 9 with a 10 autograph, a pop 1. I would imagine this has to be one of the, and it's number 4 of 5. So this is probably this. Oh, it's pop 1. So obviously it's the highest grade because it's the only one that's graded. Sold for $312,000. The Steph Curry cards, I feel like, I don't know. I don't want to say that they're underrated because like everyone loves Steph Curry and anything that he does goes viral on the internet, but it's like, it almost feels like more things that he does should go viral. Like as much as the media, I'll use media making quotations or whatever, which is mostly ESPN. As much as they talk about like LeBron, they talk about Steph Curry. Maybe they should talk about Steph Curry a little bit more, to be completely honest, because like what he has done throughout his career, I think is more impressive, if I'm going to be completely honest, when it comes to his whole career than LeBron. He stayed with the same team. He built a team that, granted, to draft also Klay Thompson and draft Draymond Green is, it's fairly lucky, because you could also look at like a team like the Sacramento Kings, who are going to be making the playoffs for the first time in like 20 years or something like that. Or I think it was 2003 or 2004 was the last time that they made the playoffs. Like, they've had high draft picks and they just keep missing on those draft picks. Now, granted, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green weren't necessarily high draft picks, but like at the same time, like I said, I still think it's impressive what Steph Curry has done with that team. So I feel like what that means, and essentially, is that I feel like his cards are a bit underrated. And I understand Colin saying that a card that sold for $320 or $312,000, calling that card underrated is probably a little bit shocking, maybe, to people that like aren't in cards. But like, this card, National Treasures, like the 1 of 1, I believe was like, it was one of actually the weird ones that like sold, but like was also fractionally sold. So like it was valued at like $9 million, I believe. But like, it also like I said, it was also like, it was partly owned by somebody. So it was fractioned out. I don't know. That was a little bit weird when that happened, like a couple, like probably like in 2020, because there was a lot of like random weird things that happened. Actually, I think it was the owner of Alt that did the fractional sale of that card, and I think they valued the card at I think they said it was $9 million. I'm pretty sure, but like it was fractioned out where they didn't necessarily buy it for $9 million, so it was a little bit weird. Let's see. So the next card we got here, we have a $288,000 exquisite Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson game used 1 of 1 from 2008 Upper Deck exquisite. Yeah, I mean, this is a crazy card. I mean, this is one of the cards that's like, I wouldn't be surprised if this card never sells again. Like, it's just the type of card that is like, it's the type of card that's like art. Like, it's more of an art piece than it is a sports card. And I don't know how a company or how somebody would be able to display a card like this, but I feel like a company or somebody can figure out how to safely display this card. Like, this is like a piece of art. Like, I wouldn't be surprised the same way that we see, I wouldn't be surprised if in the future, the same way that we see like art galleries, if we see sports card art galleries like popping up here and there, and I'm sure there are probably some out there, but like the way that like the Louvre and the way that like the Met and like the MoMA in New York, like the way that those are like very popular art galleries, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw sports cards become more popular within those types of galleries. And, the modern art industry is, I'm not even really going to get into that, because I'm sure, there's tons of people who kind of compare sports cards to that, where they look at it and they say, it's just people who are trying to evade taxes or whatever. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to fully get into that. Trevor Lawrence, 1 of 1 National Treasures. This is like a crazy card. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, if he had had a good rookie season, it would have been probably pretty wild for some of his cards. I think like his rookie season was bad, but then the Jaguars bring in Doug Peterson. They make the playoffs, I think, last year, or maybe they didn't. Maybe they almost made the playoffs. But either way, like Trevor Lawrence's season in his second season was so astronomically important for, I think, him as a player that like, I think, because if you look at like his first season compared to a player like Jamarcus Russell, like I'm pretty sure they were fairly similar. So like the bounce back that he had in his second season, I think is so important. And I think, I had the prediction, and I think unfortunately the way sort of sports cards in the market sort of ran a little bit, like I had the prediction that like Trevor Lawrence was going to do for football cards what Zion Williamson did for basketball cards. And I do think in a way that happened, but I also think unfortunately we saw like a weird adjustment, not weird, but we saw an adjustment in the market. And I think what that ended up causing was like that football cards they did go on the run. Like, we saw like the Lamar Jackson that sell for like thousands of dollars, and now it's like $200. But like, I don't think it kind of came from just the market in general. It didn't come from like a player like Trevor Lawrence, I think, coming into the league and, tearing the league up and being like this crazy rookie quarterback. And then all of his cards are selling for whatever. Like, he was obviously still the quarterback that everyone's chasing from that, 2021 product. But still, I think there was more room, in my opinion, for Trevor Lawrence cards to affect the market than they did. But either way, yeah, that Trevor Lawrence card, I mean, any one-of-one national treasures is going to be such a phenomenal card. And like this one, I mean, I don't know. It's weird also, like surfacing like 7, not great. I mean, I wonder where that surfacing issue came from. Like, because centering corners, all 9.5s, edges even 8.5, surface 7. Like, I wonder if that 7 surface comes from like Trevor Lawrence not handling the card properly, or if it came from coming out of the pack, whoever opened the box or whoever opened the, puts it in the pack. I don't know. It's a weird thing when it comes to grading and cards. It's like, it's the 10 is, I feel like it's so obtainable nowadays that like, I just don't know if every card should be getting a 10 the same way. Just basically because like a card goes through so many different steps until it's in a slab that I don't understand how even there are so many PSA 10s when it comes to grades, and like how easy it is to get like the perfect grade for a card. And that's probably, if you're getting a BGS black label, like that's obviously going to be much different. But like, I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me how a card could even get to the point where it could receive that grade because of how many steps it takes to get a card to a grader and how many steps it takes to get that card into a slab. Doesn't make sense. So like the 7 surfacing here, that makes sense to me because like there are so many people that are handling this card before it gets to the grader. And whoever, I don't know if this person that sold it for the $260,000, if they were the one that pulled the card out of the pack, or if they got in a break or whatever. But it's like that 7 surfacing, I feel like should be more common when it comes to some of these cards. But it also could go back to like just Panini in general. Like their QCing of cards over the past few years has just been really horrible. And this could just be another example of that. Let's see. We got a Tom Brady SGC, Tom Brady Bowman Chrome Refractor SGC 10. Pop 3, $222,000. Brady has been one of those players over the past few years that's he was part of that like GOAT conversation that I think a lot of people looked at cards and said, like, you're safe if you're buying the GOATs, like you're safe. But he's like one of those players, like I think, we're seeing some of his like contenders autographs. They were selling in the millions. Now they're selling in like the million like area. So like this card, for example, like I think the more rare a card is, the more you're going to see prices like this, because like what I think ends up happening with a card that's a pop 3 that sells for $220,000 is what I think happens when you have a card that's like a pop 3. And if it sells for $220,000, there's probably a decent chance that there isn't too many people that are in the market for that card. The amount of people that can spend $220,000 on a card is not that high. And then also the amount of people that want a pop 3 card is probably not that high either. So like if there's 1 or 2 people that are bidding up a card, that's where I think you can kind of see some cards that end up selling for maybe more than they should have. Now, granted, I don't necessarily know if this one should have sold for more. Like we have down here, another SGC 10 refractor. This one sold in, this is the card. I think this is the one. So like the amount of people that can spend this amount of money on a card and the amount of cards there are, when you find those, when the number is more than 1, unfortunately, that's when sometimes you get into a little bit of a bidding war on cards like this. And that's what ends up driving up the price, maybe higher than it should be. Like a pop 3, like granted, this person is, they're not like if you're buying a card for $222,000, you're not then trying to go out and sell it for 300. Like you're trying to maybe potentially sell it for 4 or 5. Where and if there's 2 people that were trying to buy this card, if the one person knows that they almost bought it, like if let's just say the person below this bought it for 200 or wanted to buy it for 220, but they got outbid by $2,000. Now, granted, if you're in that, I'm sure you're probably $2,000. Whatever, but like the person isn't going to want to buy the card for $300,000, $400,000 if they know that they almost got it at $220,000, I guess. And maybe that's a little bit of an assumption. That's maybe something that I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but like I said, I guess somebody in that price range, I think that they're not buying this to, I guess they're not buying it to then flip it. Maybe they're buying it to hold, but at the same time, it's like, if you have the opportunity to sell it for $400,000 or $500,000, yeah, you're probably going to do it most likely. Another one, I think this card is down pretty significantly, if I'm not mistaken, like the LeBron Topps Chrome. The LeBron Topps Chrome is one of the cards that has kind of seen a pretty decent size downturn in terms of its price. Like it was really one of the cards that I actually had a post, and I'm going to be completely honest here. When Bitcoin and the LeBron Topps Chrome PSA 10 were basically the same price at one point. Like I think they were both around the $40,000 or $50,000 range. I had a post ready to go that I never hit. That was like, what's going to hit $100,000 first, a Bitcoin or a LeBron Chrome Refractor? And like literally the day after that post, like from the day after I had the post ready to go, we just saw both of them tank significantly. So I don't know. I'm not saying it's my fault that these cards went down at all, but I'm just saying that like, the Topps Chrome Refractor or the Topps Chrome PSA 10, just the LeBron in general. And I'm not sure if that's the market or if that's people are sick of LeBron or what, but either way, I don't know. It's I think that this card is down probably pretty significantly. So anybody buying this card right now probably got a decent price if you're comparing it to some of the other prices from the past few years. Let's see. Anything else that's really catching my eye here? I mean, I guess we could talk about the last card I'm going to talk about in this video is going to be this Jordan PSA 10 gold certification and MBA gold. Yeah, I guess, I mean, again, another Jordan card that's kind of in that same conversation of like ones that really saw a pretty significant increase and then saw a really significant decrease. I think the changes in the Jordan sales really just come from how many of these Jordan cards sold over the past few years. Like if you're looking in 2017, 2018, you probably could have been buying some of these Jordan cards for, in the tens of thousands, and then when this card gets up to 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, like there was that $700,000 sale, which that was also I think a PWCCA, which is a high, like it's a secondary grade, which I think is significant to talk about. So I'm not going to necessarily put that into the conversation, but when there's people that were buying those Jordans for tens of thousands of dollars, once those cards got into the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, it would have been irresponsible for them not to sell those cards. And so I think that's what led to a significant decrease in the price, because the increase in price at the beginning, also the increase in price at the beginning led to everyone being like, oh, well, I'm going to just sell this card now. Like there's no way that I can pass up, if you made the investment for $30,000, $40,000, there's no way you can pass up $400,000 or $500,000 for this card. So you're going to see an increase in the amount of these cards selling. And that's just online. Like that's not even including at like card shows and stuff like that. Cause I don't think necessarily Card Ladder has that data, but like, if you look at the amount of sales over the past few years, the amount of sales and what happened on the increase of the card, in my opinion, is why the card saw such a dramatic increase, because everyone was trying to sell it. And then when it saw a dramatic decrease, it was because the amount of sales went up of the card. And that's what led to, the price coming down so significantly over the past few years. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for this first segment of the high-end report. Thank you all for watching. Like I said, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you are new. I will see you in the next one. Pretty good segment, I think. let's see. I think we got the calendar, the Beckett calendar. Let's go to here. We're going to pop this up. Let's just scroll down. Oh, we got some. We got some good ones. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. My name is Adam. I am your host. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the upcoming releases in the sports card calendar. Thank you to Beckett for putting this together. Like I said, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on some of these products. And hit the subscribe button if you are new. Now, let's get right into it. So, like we do most weekday streams, videos you're watching, we are going to get into the release calendar for the upcoming week. So another, like I said, 2022 baseball product, 2022 Topps Stadium Club Chrome. Let's try and say this again. Stadium Club Chrome. It's like a little bit of a tongue twister there. 2022 product coming out in 2023. You've heard me talk about that. I don't like it at all. I think this is also sort of like in 2022, I'm not sure why Topps did this, but it really was like the year of the Chrome. Like they really just went out of their way to make everything Chrome in 2022. Like we saw Stadium Club Chrome, which I think actually they made Stadium Club Chrome in the past, but they also had Chrome high-end or heritage cards that I think either came in the packs or they came out with their own set for it. There was also Allen and Ginter Chrome, and then the Topps Chrome set also was kind of expanded when it came to how many different Topps Chrome sets they came out with. Like we saw the Ben Baller Chrome set, we saw the Topps Chrome Sapphire, Topps Chrome, which that's another kind of concept that they've been doing for a while. But still, they had that one. Then they had the Cosmic, which we've talked about in the past. So it was like I don't know if you could call it the chromification of Topps in this year and over the past few years, but we definitely have seen more Chrome products come out. And I think it may be one reason why Topps at their industry conference announced that they're going to be taking a little bit of a step back when it comes to the products that they're coming out with. I don't know if that means that they're going to come out with more Chrome products or if every product is just going to become Chrome. Like, I feel like that's probably not the case. Like I've always talked about that. I would love to see the same way that like Donruss and Optic is like a Chrome, non-Chrome product, and the same way that like Topps and Topps Chrome. I would love for them to take some of the Chrome products and actually make paper products and expand on some of the brands a little bit more. Just making everything Chrome and making it its own product, I don't love necessarily. So, for me, Topps Chrome Stadium Club, love the photography on Stadium Club. I mean, it's actually, I think, one of the better sets that Topps comes out with because of the photography that they use. And I don't know, it makes me wonder, I wonder why they don't use better photography on some cards. Like, I get that. I think that each set within Topps has its own reason for it existing. Flagship is going to be, you kind of know what you're getting with each of the sets. And I think that they have built a good branding around all of these products. Stadium Club, that it's going to be great photography. And that's kind of the whole Stadium Club perception there. You got Topps Flagship going to be, like a headshot, like full body shot image with pretty basic, nothing crazy going on. You've got, let's see, Allen and Ginter is going to be kind of like a crazy, wacky set with like a bunch of like old-timey design. Same with Gypsy Queen was like that too. Topps Big League is going to be kind of cartoonish. Like, I get that it's more catered towards kids, so it's going to have more of a cartoony feel. But I feel like that's one thing that Topps has done a good job with. with their products is that they have actually branded their products pretty well, and you're not necessarily like surprised with what you're getting when it comes to a Topps Chrome or a Topps box, I guess, in general. So the next product we're going to get into here is going to be Panini Contenders Basketball. Contenders, obviously, as most people know, is going to be much more of a football-focused set. Expanding the brand to basketball, I think, makes sense. It's not necessarily an autograph that people are like chasing. Like when it comes to the top autograph rookie cards for basketball, I guess it's not really something that people are, going crazy over. I think like the cracked ice is actually one of the best variations in all of sports cards. Like I love the concept. I love how they, I love what they have done with that concept and with that variation for football. And obviously they've done it for Obviously, they've done it here with basketball as well. I mean, I'm going to look at some of the hobby boxes and see sort of if there's some like pre-sale prices. I think this product actually, if you can find blasters of the product, like it's probably a cool one to open. I mean, no, that's not what I want to look up. I want to look up the shop hobby boxes here and just check out eBay and see what some of these hobby boxes are selling for and maybe some of the configurations of the box. So we'll switch over to the tab here. So looks like it's about $300 for a box. Like let's click on one of these images just so we can take a look at the configurations, get a kind of a closer look at. No, that's not going to give it to us. Okay, so we'll go back to the Beckett page here. Or no, let's keep trying. Let's open up another tab with. Okay, so we'll share this tab. So find 2 autographs per box on average, 8 cards per pack, 4 packs per box. So it feels like it's almost like a combination of like a base and a hit based product because of how many cards you're getting in a box. And I actually think that I've talked about in the past what the pricing of some sports card boxes are. I think at $300, this is like a fine set to go for if you're looking for like something where, you're going to get some cards, you're going to get a bunch of packs to open. You are going to get some autographs. Hopefully you pick a rookie. Hopefully you get a rookie autograph. If you get a rookie autograph, there's probably a decent chance that will pay for the box. So if you are looking to get into a box that is actually decent, I think, in terms of price versus what you get, I actually think that this is a decent one. Unfortunately, chances are you probably, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many, like I said, this is where I wish the checklist was like you're guaranteed 2 autographs. One will be guaranteed to be a rookie autograph. One you could get a rookie autograph. Maybe you don't, but like if you're getting a veteran autograph, unfortunately, that's sort of where you might be a little bit out of luck. And I do think with these cards too, I don't know. I think with football, they're on card, but I think with basketball, they may be sticker autographs or they've used sticker autographs in the past, I think, with some of these cards. And I think with contenders, like it almost feels like it should definitely be an on-card autograph. The design of it, I have talked about in previous videos. I do like this new style design. I don't like what they did. I don't like the horizontal version. I like the vertical version. I also didn't really love what they did last year. I think last year they tried to go with like a QR kind of futuristic sort of looking ticket. I like that they went back to kind of a simpler, more, traditional, I guess, ticket looking design. I think that was pretty cool. So we're going to move on here. Anything else really that catches my eye? Prism WWE, that's going to be probably a big product. Bowman baseball, that's going to be something we'll probably talk about later as it's coming out later on in April. Eminence basketball, 10 cards per pack, 1 pack per box. Yeah, this is like a hit-based product. Let's see. Limited football. This one is 5 cards per pack, 3 packs per box. I mean, if this one, let's just see what the pricing of these are. If they are like $100, like then maybe that's a decent price for them. No, these are in the 250 range for these boxes. 3 hits per box is what it's saying here. I'm guessing it still says, so you're getting 2 autographs and 1 memorabilia card. You know, limited. It's not like, I don't know. I'm not dying to running out to get here any of these products, to be completely honest. So like, you know, for me to sit here and say you shouldn't buy the product, I'm not going to do that, because like it's your money. Do whatever you want here. Pretty impressive here. 141,000 sales from that person. That's pretty cool. But like, you know, it's a gambling type of product. You know, you're like I said, it's five cards per pack, 3 cards per box. Then we've got Upper Deck Series 2. I'm not 100% sure who the big rookies are that are going to be coming out of that product, but like Upper Deck, I think by the time you're watching this video, you probably have seen my last video, the 2023-24 Upper Deck flagship product is actually making a pretty big change that I'm not necessarily happy about. So you probably have seen that video. If you haven't, make sure you go check that out. Leaf Vivid Soccer. I do like the design. I'm not going to lie here. Like, I don't necessarily love Leaf products. Like, I don't know. I think that, you know, they don't have very many licenses. So like, that's obviously going to be an issue for them. So I think that they have to figure out a way to sort of stand out. And I think obviously this design definitely helps them stand out. So I don't know. I mean, I'll be interested to see sort of the autographs and stuff coming out of that box, because that's sort of what they do have to rely on, unfortunately, because they don't have any of the licensing. 2023 Panini Prism WWE. If I'm not mistaken, this is either this. No, last year was the first WWE Prism product. So let's see what the pricing of these boxes are. Pricing of the boxes around $300. So last year when Prism came out, it was a product that people really liked. Unfortunately, that led to, I think, a pretty decently high run up on the prices of some of those boxes. And, you know, I mean, I guess that is what happens sort of when you see something new in the market. Like I've talked about this in the past, like collectors just love whatever the new shiny thing is, whether it's a new product or if it's a new player or it's a new company coming in. Like they love and they'll eat up basically whatever is new. And, you know, this could go back to the conversation that I had recently. Like there was a statistic that I saw someone put on social media. I don't think I saw like where they pulled the statistic from, is that like only 8% of people within sports cards are on social media. So that could be sort of where I think sometimes these run-ups can happen in these pricing. Like I get that people on social media probably are affecting the pricing of some of these things a little bit, but overall, like I've said this, if you are buying something because someone told you to buy it on social media in the year 2023, I'm sorry, but like it is what it is. Like there are too many resources and there's too many ways to do research nowadays, that if you aren't doing your own research and you're blindly listening to somebody, then like, you know, if you get scammed, unfortunately, you know, you gotta do the research. And this is what I kind of have tried to do with my own. And I don't even want to say scammed, because like if you're buying something that someone's telling you to buy, like whether it's a cryptocurrency or it's a sports card or it's a sports card box, like that's just because somebody did good marketing realistically. And I think yes, but also no, to the point where it's like you have to just be more careful when you're buying something. Like if you're spending your hard-earned money on something, you need to be more careful. And if someone's out there actively scamming, obviously that's going to be the larger issue and a larger conversation. But no, I'm sorry. I'm trying to explain this, but I'm trying to not make it seem like I'm trying to defend people who are actively trying to scam people. I just think that like when it comes to something like a sports card product, if you're buying it because someone told you to buy it and, and it went up in price and someone still told you to buy it and you buy it and it doesn't turn out to be as good, then I don't know. It's a weird conversation, I guess, to have here. But like, that's sort of just what happened last year with WWE Prism. I don't think it's going to necessarily happen this year because, like I said, it's the second year. Pretty cool Hollywood Hulk Hogan product, I think, or Hollywood Hulk Hogan card here that's going to be coming in the product. We did see that, I think, in a upcoming WWE release, there's going to be a Rock Kaboom card. So that'll definitely be interesting. But like I said, when it comes to these newer products, if you have the money to buy them, buy them. But like, just be careful if you're buying in a breaks or you're buying the product, because like realistically, you're not going to make most of your money back. So if you are buying it and you have the opportunity to sell a certain card right when you open it, if it's not part of your PC, my suggestion is probably just sell it, because like, then you can get at least recoup some of your money, and then you can either buy another box or you can keep the money or do whatever you want. But like, your best bet is probably going to be selling the cards that aren't part of your PC right away when you're opening some of these new sports card products. I think I want to cut that part out. I don't know. Maybe not. Just I wasn't, the point I was trying to make wasn't, I couldn't figure out what the point I was trying to make was. I knew the point I was trying to make, but I wasn't saying it correctly. It's all right. Let's see. Do I want to get into, how many more videos do I want to do? How many videos have I done? We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess, because I'm not going to, the women's final, I could talk about that. Start of the baseball season. I feel like if I put that out, it'll be out of date. I think that's it. I think that's all I'm going to cover today. I think I talked. Yeah. Because I have to edit those other videos. Okay. That's going to be it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'll see you in the next episode.